Chapter 33-35. Bullshit. How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? The Bai family's treasure could not have happened earlier or later, but would something happen as soon as he arrived? It was complete nonsense. However, Piglet was so anxious and sentimental, so it seemed that the Bai family's treasure was not something simple. How could one catch a tiger cub without entering the tiger's lair? Knowing that there was a tiger in the mountain, one would still go there. Of course, Longao was not afraid of any danger, so he hid all the aura in his body and rushed directly towards the Bai family. The Bai family. As one of the three great families of Thunder City, the Bai family's security was extremely tight. However, Longao was no longer the same as before, and his cultivation had smoothly broken through to the primal chaos reincarnation realm. Not to mention ordinary primal chaos martial artists, even half-step Dao validation martial artists might not be able to sense his aura. After carefully moving into the Bai family, Longao was on full alert. In any case, with his current strength, he could not face the 7 half-step Dao validation martial artists of the Bai family at the same time. Piglet, where is the treasure? Follow my aura. Will your aura be locked on by the half-step Dao validation martial artists? This was also what Longao was most curious about, because under normal circumstances, Piglet's aura would unscrupulously search the entire Bai family. The 7 half-step Dao validation martial artists of the Bai family should have discovered Piglet and him long ago. But what was the result? He and Piglet had only been in the Bai family for a few minutes, but they had not been discovered. It was really unbelievable. Piglet had a confident face and said with a smile, "Boss, you don't know much about my divine ability. Not to mention half-step Dao validation martial artists, even a true Dao validation martial artist would not be able to detect my aura." Longao seemed to have guessed it, but when he heard the other party really say it, he was still shocked. Piglet's treasure-seeking divine ability was really heaven-defying. He knew very well what it meant that even Dao validation martial artists could not sense Piglet's aura. He no longer had any worries. Longao followed Piglet's aura and rushed to the destination at the fastest speed possible. The location Piglet sensed was none other than one of the Bai family's forbidden areas. Bai family's backyard. Aside from the Bai family's 7 half-step Dao validation cultivators and the patriarch, no one else was qualified to enter the forbidden area in the backyard. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. Other than that, the Bai family's forbidden area was heavily guarded. Not to mention outsiders, even the Bai family's members were not allowed to enter. It was precisely because of this. The Bai family didn't think that anyone would take such a risk and enter the forbidden area of the backyard. Although he didn't know where the Bai family's backyard was, Longao could clearly sense several powerful auras secretly guarding this place. If it was in the past, Longao might have been afraid. But now, he sneered coldly. After successfully breaking through to the primal chaos reincarnation realm, he headed for the backyard without any hesitation. From beginning to end, no one noticed that Longao had entered the forbidden area in the backyard. Even so, Longao did not relax in the slightest. In any case, the Bai family still had 7 half-step Dao confirming cultivators, and all 7 of them were still in the Bai family. Little Pig, where is it? This place could be guarded by several powerful auras. Basically, there was no need to ask. This must be an important place of the Bai family. It seemed that Little Pig's senses were right. There might really be a treasure here, and a very powerful treasure. Boss, do you see the rockery in front of you? The treasure is inside, but you have to be careful. There is a seal left by a half-step Dao confirming cultivator at the entrance. Once you touch the seal, the half-step Dao confirming cultivator will definitely find out. He nodded. Longao already knew what Little Pig meant. Others might not have a way, but it didn't mean that he couldn't. If it was a seal left by a Dao confirming cultivator, then he certainly couldn't. As for a half-step Dao confirming cultivator, it was a different concept. Longao used a powerful force to form a reincarnation transcendence chi shield around the rockery. Then, with the help of the god's slaying finger, he began to madly attack the entrance. Boom, 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 boom. But the outside was very calm. If someone were to see this situation, they would not believe it at all. The reason why Longao was so confident was entirely because of his divine ability reincarnation, especially the peak reincarnation transcendence. Even a half-step Tao confirming cultivator would not be able to sense the existence of this place. In just a few seconds, the entrance was forcibly broken. Longao didn't even think about it. He directly stepped out and entered the rockery. Inside the rockery was the place where the 7 half-step Tao confirming cultivators cultivated in seclusion. It was a huge cave, but after Longao entered, he didn't sense anything. However, Longao once again released the reincarnation taunt, directly covering the entire cave, and began to madly attack again. What is this? Looking at the huge stone wall that appeared in front of him, Longao didn't know what it was. The entire stone wall was very smooth, just like a mirror. However, the entire stone wall was completely golden. One look and one could tell that it was a treasure. Boss, this stone wall can help cultivators break through quickly. It seemed that Little Pig didn't know what kind of treasure this stone wall was. Longao immediately summoned his master, Xianyuan Bubi, and roughly explained the situation here. Xianyuan Bubi was also very surprised. After sensing it a little, he immediately exclaimed, "Ao this is the legendary Jade Exquisite Dragon. It is said that cultivating around the Jade Exquisite Dragon will be very fast. I really didn't expect that a small Bai family in the Nether Realm would have such a treasure." Even Xianyuan Bubi had never entered the Nether Realm. After all, cultivators who had reached Tao confirming didn't have much thoughts about the Nether Realm. After all, looking at the entire chaotic realm, besides half-step Tao confirming cultivators who would enter the Nether Realm, no other Tao confirming cultivators would enter the Nether Realm. As for the 5 realm lords of the Nether Realm, they existed in the Nether Realm and didn't enter from the outside. Jade Exquisite Dragon? Longao didn't know about Jade Exquisite Dragon, but when he heard his master's exclamation, he could guess that the stone wall in front of him was not simple. It was no wonder that the Bai family valued this stone wall so much. It turned out that it was a cultivation treasure. It seemed that his luck was good. If he hadn't obtained Little Pig, he wouldn't have known that the Bai family had a Jade Exquisite Dragon. Jade Exquisite Dragon is a legendary treasure. It is very helpful to Tao confirming cultivators, let alone ordinary chaotic realm cultivators. There was a hidden meaning in his words. How could Longao not understand the meaning behind his master's words? Chapter 33-36. Piglet, this Jade Linglong is very useful to me. Piglet had a reluctant expression. If it was anyone else, Piglet definitely wouldn't give it to them. However, this was his boss. Piglet thought about it and smiled. Okay. Longao was pleasantly surprised. Originally, he couldn't send the Jade Linglong into his chaotic Dantian. However, he didn't know how long he would need in the Nether Realm. The Jade Linglong was of great help to his master, the evil ancestor, and Shao Qian. Since that was the case, Longao was still prepared to forcefully send the Jade Linglong into his chaotic Dantian. He believed that as long as he was careful, his chaotic Dantian wouldn't collapse. What kind of existence was the Nether Realm? It could actually cause his chaotic Dantian to collapse. It was terrifying just thinking about it. Master, your primordial spirits all need the Jade Linglong more than me. Thus, it's better to send it into your chaotic Dantian. Xianyuan Bubi seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he endured it. He was very clear about his disciple's meaning and couldn't say much. He carefully sent the Jade Linglong into his chaotic Dantian and didn't let his chaotic Dantian collapse. However, the next second, boss, there's someone." He wasn't surprised at all. His reincarnation transcendence could temporarily block the aura from leaking out, but it couldn't hide for too long. Especially when the entire Jade Linglong disappeared. It was definitely unrealistic to say that the 7 of them didn't know. Whoosh! After Longao left the cave, he saw countless figures appear in the backyard. The 7 people standing at the front were the 7 half-step Dao validation cultivators of the Bai family. Bai Xian seemed to have guessed the identity of the man in front of him, and asked coldly, "You are Longao?" Longao didn't speak. What did this mean? Bai Xian sensed that the other party was only at the chaotic reincarnation realm and didn't put him in his eyes at all. What kind of strength could a person who relied on powerful martial techniques have? It was simply nonsense. However, Bai Xian couldn't figure out how the other party could enter here without anyone noticing. Moreover, they only just found out that something had happened to the Jade Linglong. Hand over the Jade Linglong and destroy your Dantian. Leave behind your hands and legs and I can let you leave. Trash. Longao was not a fool. How could he believe the other party's words? If he really crippled his own Dantian, he would not be able to leave Thunder City alive. This old man wants to see what qualifications you have to be so arrogant. He waved his hand and the next second, 2 half-step Dao validation martial artists appeared behind Bai Xian and rushed towards Longao. This person was able to kill 5 primal chaos reincarnation realm martial artists in a row. There was no need to ask how strong this person was. No one below half-step Dao validation would be able to contend with him. The speed of the 2 half-step Dao confirming experts soared to the extreme, and they began to attack from the left and right. It would be a disgrace to them if they couldn't finish off a puny samsara martialist quickly. Although he knew that he was not a match for a half-step Dao confirming martial artist, Longao still did not take even half a step back. The god-slaying finger, coupled with the power of samsara transcendence, really gave the 2 half-step Dao confirming martial artists a show of strength. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have imagined that the other party's martial skills would be so powerful. "Father, isn't this the so-called Dao verification martial skill?" How could Bai Xian not know what Bai Ming meant? He sneered. Even a half-step Dao validation martial artist can't master a Dao verification martial skill. However, this person's martial skill is infinitely close to a Dao verification martial skill and can even cause space to collapse. If we can get this martial skill, we will be like a tiger that has grown wings. At that time, I will be the number 1 under Dao verification, ha ha ha. He was very excited. Bai Xian certainly knew how heaven-defying the other party's martial skill was. It could even be called the number 1 martial skill under Dao verification martial skills. After all, not every martial skill could cause space to collapse. Bai Ming had personally experienced this martial skill and knew how heaven-defying it was. If he could get this martial skill, he would be invincible against anyone below half-step Dao verification. Most importantly, once the Bai family obtained this martial skill, the other 2 families in Thunder City would not be able to compete with the Bai family. The Bai family would become the number 1 family in Thunder City. Although Longao's god-slaying finger and reincarnation transcendence were very powerful, it was not an easy task to defeat 2 half-step Dao validation martial artists by himself. Longao gradually began to be unable to resist and was about to retreat. The situation suddenly changed. Piglet, who was in Longao's arms, suddenly looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. The 2 half-step Dao validation martial artists, who were originally full of confidence, suddenly felt dizzy. Even their primordial spirits suffered a terrible attack. Just as the 2 of them turned pale with fright, Longao's god-slaying finger arrived. Kacha, kacha. With 2 screams, the 2 half-step Dao validation martial artists were directly beheaded by Longao. From beginning to end, no one reacted. By the time Bai Xian was about to attack in anger, he found that Longao had already left. If he attacked with all his strength, Bai Xian would definitely have a chance. However, the scene just now was still vivid in his mind. He didn't know what the consequences would be if he attacked with all his strength. At this moment, Bai Xian finally understood why this person was so arrogant. It turned out that he had something to rely on. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel distressed as he looked at the two corpses on the ground. After all, in the entire Bai family, there were only 6 half-step Dao validation martial artists. They had lost 2 at once. Father, Bai Xian waved his hand and sneered. It's just a half-step Dao validation divine beast. It only has a bit of magical power. Spread the news that Longao obtained a Yuling Long and a half-step Dao validation divine beast that isn't very strong but has powerful magical powers. Yes, father. Bai Ming already knew what his father meant. Even if the Bai family could kill this person in the end, they would suffer heavy losses. This was a situation that the Bai family didn't want to see. If they could unite with the other 2 families, then it would be a different concept. If they had to suffer losses, then the Bai family would be able to maintain their position in Thunder City. Not only that, you have to spread the news that this person has a Dao validation seed. Bai Xian was very clear that the Yuling Long and a half-step Dao validation divine beast alone might not attract the other 2 families to attack. After all, the Xiao and Lu families also wanted to see the Bai family suffer heavy losses. Then they would eradicate the Bai family and divide Thunder City equally. The more this was the case, the more he couldn't let the 2 families do as they wished. The biggest temptation was the Dao validation seed, especially for half-step Dao validation martial artists. Chapter 33-37. The news that Longao had the Jade Linglong and the Dao validation seed had spread throughout Thunder City. If this was a normal situation, Longao would be in a lot of trouble. But the situation was different now. Everyone knew. Longao had consecutively killed the Bai family's powerhouses, including 2 half-step Dao validation martial artists. Under such circumstances, the Bai family spreading such news, one could imagine what it meant. No one believed it. This was something Bai Xian never expected. Without the help of the other 2 great clans and the addition of some rogue cultivator powerhouses, it was really not an easy thing to deal with Longao. In a secluded courtyard, Longao looked at Piglet in front of him and asked in amazement, "Piglet, what's going on?" Piglet chuckled. "Boss, this magical ability might be powerful, but it can only be used once in a short time. If you force it to be used a second time..." Piglet didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao became more and more amazed. Piglet was becoming more and more abnormal. Whether it was the previous treasure-hunting magical ability or the current one, they were all extremely heaven-defying. If it wasn't for Piglet's sudden use of this magical ability, Bai Xian wouldn't have been able to leave the Bai family smoothly, let alone kill 2 half-step Dao validation experts. However, Piglet's magical ability also had a flaw. After all, it could only be used once in a short time. In the face of 1 or 2 half-step Dao validation experts, Bai Xian's strength and Piglet's magical ability were more than enough to deal with them. However, facing 3 or more half-step Dao validation experts at the same time, even with Piglet's help, it was impossible to succeed. Boss, in any case, we and the Bai family are mortal enemies. In this case, why don't we completely destroy the Bai family? What do you think we should do? How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? However, although the Bai family had already lost 2 half-step Dao validation cultivators, they still had 5 half-step Dao validation cultivators. Unless they could defeat them one by one. He wanted to make it simple, but it was extremely difficult to actually do it. Boss, we can openly go to the Bai family. What do you mean? Longao knew that Little Pig would not shoot arrows for no reason, but if he rushed to the Bai family now, even with Little Pig's help, he would not be able to compete with 5 half-step Dao-confirming cultivators at the same time. There was no doubt about it. In that case, Why would Piglet do this? Could it be that Piglet had a way to deal with 5 half-step Tao validation martial artists at the same time? If that was the case, then even if it was a little risky, it would be worth it. Piglet smiled and said confidently, "Boss, I heard that you are a formation master?" Although he didn't know what Piggy meant, Longao still nodded. However, Longao had not cultivated his array formation for a long time. Based on his current array formation standards, he could at most kill a primal chaos samsara warrior. It was almost impossible to rely on array formations to kill a half-step Tao validation martial artist. In that case, why would Piglet mention formations? Could it be that Piglet also knew formations? "Boss, I am a mutant divine beast, and I don't know why, but I have everything about formations in my mind. Although I don't understand formations, I can clearly feel that these formations in my mind are very heaven-defying and terrifying." After listening to Piglet's words, Longao was completely shocked. Of course, he knew what Piglet meant. Next, Piglet taught all the formations in his mind to Longao for 3 days and 3 nights. Longao was also very shocked. How huge and heaven-defying were the formations in Piglet's mind? Longao was very curious. He didn't know what was going on. Why would such a huge and heaven-defying formation suddenly appear in Piglet's mind? Even if Piglet was a mutated divine beast, according to Piglet, his grandparents and parents were all divine beasts. None of them knew how to use arrays. Looking at all the divine beasts in the divine beast world, none of them knew how to use arrays. This was a law that no divine beast could change. The more this was the case, the more curious Longao was. The formations in Piglet's mind were really a bit strange, but he could also clearly feel how heaven-defying the formations that Piglet taught him were. The most shocking thing was, the formations that Piglet taught him were basically the same as the formations that he had cultivated before. It was as if they were derived from the formations that he had cultivated. What kind of concept was this? Longao didn't know why, but he always had a feeling that the formations in Piglet's mind seemed to be specially made for him. If he hadn't personally sensed these formations, he really wouldn't have believed it. Shaking his head fiercely, Longao didn't continue to dwell on this issue. Although he still suspected that there was something fishy about this matter, it was difficult to figure it out now. "Boss, what's wrong with you?" Not wanting to dwell on it, Longao still explained his situation. Piglet was also very surprised and said, "Boss, I'm a mutant divine beast. My grandparents and parents are also divine beasts. Ordinary people's eggs can't fuse with my blood." Longao nodded. He roughly understood the meaning of Piglet's words. Just as Piglet said, with Piglet's identity and situation, not to mention ordinary chaotic martial artists, even divine beasts might not be able to fuse their blood essence with Piglet's egg. But what about himself? His blood essence was easily fused into the egg, and things became more and more strange. He said with a smile, "Piglet, we don't need to dwell on this issue now. I believe that after you've attained your Tao, things should be much clearer." Yes? Without the slightest hesitation, Longao immediately began to comprehend the formations in his mind. He originally thought that it would be very troublesome and that it would take a long time to comprehend the formations. In the end, he never expected that in just a few days, Longao's level of formations would instantly increase by a level. This was also something that Longao hadn't expected. He became even more curious. The formations that Piglet taught him were becoming more and more strange. "Boss, how's the formation going? Success?" He felt very helpless. If he could enter the chaotic Dantian at will, then he could use it to take away the formations at will and attack the enemy. In that case, he wouldn't have to be afraid even if he faced a half-step divine beast. But the current situation was different. He couldn't enter the chaotic Dantian at all, let alone send the formations into it. It was simply nonsense and unrealistic. However, in this case, He could only arrange the formations in a certain place, and then lure Bai Xian and the others into the formation to face the enemy. Chapter 33-38. It took Longao 3 months to rearrange the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array. At this moment, the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array was no longer the same as it used to be. Longao had full confidence that even if he had not yet reached the half-step Tao Vindication realm, he could use the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array to kill a half-step Tao Vindication warrior. Lure the enemy into the array. Boss, how many half-step Tao validation experts can you deal with your current array? How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? He smiled. Longao's face was full of confidence as he said with a smile, "No matter how many come, I'll kill them all." It had to be said. The formation that Piglet had taught him was extremely powerful and heaven-defying. Piglet smiled. Longao also smiled. By family, Bai Xian was extremely depressed that the other 2 families didn't make a move. As for what the Xiao and Lu families meant, how could he not know? The more he thought about it, the more depressed he became. If they acted rashly, even if they could kill the other party, the Bai family would suffer heavy losses. In the future, the Bai family would have nothing to do with Thunder City. "Father, what should we do now?" "Wait and see. I also want to see how long the Xiao and Lu families can endure." Bai Ming sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not be aware of his father's intentions? However, knowing was one thing, and dealing with it was another matter. However, since his father had said so, Bai Ming didn't say anything else. At this moment, the entire Bai family began to tremble. Bai Xian and the others' faces instantly became gloomy because everyone knew what was going on. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Figures quickly appeared. Bai Xian and the others naturally knew what it meant when they saw Longao attacking the Bai family. They were very angry. "Longao, you're courting death." The other party attacked the Bai family so unscrupulously. It was a great shame for the Bai family. No one had dared to provoke the Bai family in so many years. As one of the 3 great families of Thunder City, the Bai family's foundation and strength were there. Not to mention a small chaos reincarnation expert, even the other 2 great families wouldn't dare to do so. How could they not be angry? Furious, Bai Xian and the other half-step Tao validation cultivators didn't hesitate to charge at each other. Before they even arrived, each of them had already launched a frenzied attack. God-killing finger and reincarnation transcendent. Longao's goal wasn't the 5 people but Bai Ming. Crack. Although Bai Ming was also a primal chaos reincarnation martial artist, how could he be Longao's match? Before Bai Ming could even react, he had already been killed by Longao. I'll kill you. First, his grandson was killed. Now his son was killed under his eyes. Bai Xian couldn't bear this. Forget Bai Xian, even the others were furious. It was too shameful to be slapped in the face. Longao didn't fight at all. He turned and left, his speed soaring to the extreme. He chased after him. But this time, Bai Xian directly contacted the heads of the other 2 great families. In addition to promising to kill Longao and hand over the Tao Validation Seed and Jade Exquisite Dragon to the other 2 great families, Bai Xian also promised to give away the Bai family's Tao Validation Martial Technique and some precious treasures. Since things had already come to this, the Xiao and Lu families didn't continue to insist. After all, this wasn't a difficult matter for them. This person was deliberately doing this. Who knew if he would find trouble with the other 2 great families after destroying the Bai family? Just in case, the 2 great families were prepared to eliminate the root. Not to mention the Jade Exquisite Dragon, Tao Validation Seed, Tao Validation Martial Technique, and many treasures. The Xiao and Lu families were also tempted. This time, whether it was the Xiao family or the Lu family, the total number of half-step Tao validation martialists in the 2 families was 14. In addition to the 2 people they had previously lost, the 3 great families now had a total of 19 half-step Tao validation experts. What kind of concept was this? A total of 19 half-step Dao validation expert. No matter where they went, they were very terrifying existences. Everyone was shocked wherever they went. They never thought that so many half-step Dao validation experts would be dispatched to deal with a small Longao. Countless people followed, wanting to see what the situation was. After all, one person's strength had attracted 19 half-step Dao validation expert. This had never happened in the history of Thunder City. Longao deliberately slowed down, but he didn't expect Bai Xian to join forces with the Xiao and Lu families. He sneered. He originally only wanted to deal with the Bai family. Since the Lu and Xiao families intervened, then they shouldn't blame him for being impolite. Longao didn't have any good feelings towards the three great families. No matter how many came, he would kill them all. If it was before, let alone facing 19 half-step Dao validation experts at the same time, it would be a bit difficult for him to deal with more than 3 half-step Dao validation experts. However, the current situation was completely different. He had smoothly arranged the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array and was completely confident in dealing with half-step Dao validation experts. A few thousand meters away from the Thunder City was a barren mountain range. It was completely barren and looked extremely gloomy. However, at this moment there were people everywhere. They all wanted to see how Longao would be dismembered by the 19 half-step Dao vindication experts of the 3 great clans, provoking the 3 great families. Even if he could kill 2 half-step Dao validation experts in the end, he would still die. It was fine to be arrogant, but he had to have the capital to back it up. If he was blindly arrogant, then he knew what it meant. Longao, do you know the result of provoking us? Brother Bai, other than the conditions you promised us before, we want this mythical beast as well. Both the Xiao and Lu families were extremely greedy for this mythical beast in Longao's hand. It could scare off 2 half-step Dao validation experts with a single roar. Thinking about it, one could imagine what a half-step Dao validation mythical beast meant. If they could get this mythical beast, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Alright. Even if Bai Xian was unwilling in his heart, he could only reluctantly agree under such circumstances. Who asked them to not be able to deal with the other party? With just you few shrimp soldiers and crab generals? Xiao family, Lu family, I only wanted to deal with the Bai family. But since you guys insist on interfering, then don't blame me for being impolite. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Longao, I, Xiaolon, want to see where your arrogance lies today. I, Lu Long, want to see too. Everyone from the 3 great families, the Bai, Xiao, and Lu families, glared at the young man before them. They couldn't figure out where his courage came from. Chapter 33-39. No one put Longao in their eyes. Perhaps one person wasn't a match for Longao and this mythological beast. But with 19 half-step Dao vindication experts working together, the other party was no different from an ant. Just as everyone was about to make a move, a Longao suddenly turned and disappeared. Bai Xian and the others weren't fools. Was there something fishy? They didn't act rashly and just stared at the space in front of them that had suddenly disappeared. No one knew what had happened. Kill. Looking at Longao who had suddenly appeared, the 19 people confirmed that there was nothing fishy and quickly moved out. Longao's array hadn't been activated yet, so the others naturally couldn't sense it. In order to end the battle quickly, the 19 people didn't attack one by one. Instead, they joined forces. As long as they could smoothly kill him, then face wasn't a problem at all. If they couldn't even kill the other party, then they would really lose face. The next second, before the 19 people could react, light shrouded them. Is this an array? The 19 people watched as they entered an independent space, and their expressions changed. But when they remembered that the other party was just a chaos reincarnation expert, they relaxed. Welcome, everyone, to my formation. I hope you can leave this place alive. Ha, with just you? Longao didn't speak. The moment his body disappeared, the array was activated and attacks began to appear. Outside, everyone watched as the 19 half-step Dao vindication experts and Longao all disappeared. Many people guessed that it was very likely that the people of the three families were trapped in the array. Time passed bit by bit. About half an hour later, a black shadow flew out. Everyone gasped at the sight of the corpse on the ground, their faces filled with shock and disbelief. With the first one, a second and a third one appeared. In just 2 hours, 18 of the 19 people who had disappeared had fallen. Only Bai Xian was left. Boom. There was a loud noise. Bai Xian's body also flew out. Looking at the corpses all over the ground, the onlookers had already disappeared without a trace. A person who could kill 19 half-step Dao vindication experts in a row, they knew what it meant. If they were caught in the crossfire, no one would be a match for the other party. The formation disappeared. Longao's figure appeared and looked at the 19 corpses in front of him. His confidence in the array formation he had set up grew. As long as a half-step Dao validation martialist entered the array formation, he could easily destroy them. The premise was that the half-step Dao verification martial artist had to enter the array by themselves. If he were in the chaos realm, he could send the array formation into his chaotic dantian. By then, he would be the strongest person under the Dao validation realm. At this time, Longao was already completely confident. Even if he went back on his word now, he would no longer have to worry about Gu Hao. With the power he had now, killing Gu Hao would not be difficult. It was a pleasant surprise. If possible, Longao wanted to leave the Nether Realm. However, for so many years, no one had successfully left the Nether Realm. Even if it was a half-step Dao verification martial artist, it wouldn't be easy for him to leave the Nether Realm. After smoothly killing 19 half-step Dao verification martial artists from the three great families, Longao didn't stop there. As the saying went, cutting weeds without removing the roots, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. As the saying went, a skinny camel was still bigger than a horse. The three great families of Thunder City had a strong foundation and strength. No one knew when a top powerhouse would emerge from the three great families. If he didn't remove the roots, who knew if there would be trouble in the future? Especially in this situation, Longao would not be merciful. Thunder City. The news of Longao killing 19 half-step Dao verification martial artists in a row had spread throughout the entire Thunder City, shocking everyone. If Longao were a half-step Dao verification martial artist, then so be it. But in the end, Longao was just a chaos reincarnation martial artist. The reason why he could kill 19 half-step Dao verification martial artists was because of his formation skills. At the end of the day, Longao was a super formation master. Looking at the sudden appearance of this figure, everyone in the Bai family stared blankly at Longao in the sky, not knowing what he was going to do. Longao was extremely famous in Thunder City now. After all, it was because of this man that all the half-step Dao verification martial artists from the three great families were killed. This was something that had never happened in the history of Thunder City. Boom, boom, boom. Just as everyone was curious about what Longao was going to do, Longao used his god-slaying finger to attack the entire Bai family. Before he came, Longao had already decided to remove the roots and leave no one alive. Other than the half-step Dao verification martial artists, Longao did not care about anyone else. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several figures came over quickly. They were the remaining primal chaos reincarnation martial artists of the Bai family. However, before everyone could react, Longao began to attack crazily. In just a few minutes, the entire Bai family, over 1,000 people, were slaughtered. After destroying the Bai family, Longao began to head towards the Shao family and the Lu family. Several hours later, the three great families of Thunder City were completely destroyed. As for all the loose cultivators in Thunder City, they all began to feel a sense of danger. They didn't know if this person was crazy or not. He could even destroy the 3 great families, let alone these vagrant martial artists. It was simply nonsense. However, Longao spread the news that the reason he destroyed the 3 great families was because they wanted to kill him. It had nothing to do with anyone else, and this matter would not implicate anyone. Many people were still unwilling to believe it, but after a few days of settling down, Longao did not immediately take action. Gradually, others began to believe in Longao's words. News of what had happened in Thunder City began to spread throughout the Eastern realms. After all, the successive annihilation of 3 great families and the killing of 21 half-step Dao validation cultivators had never happened before, let alone in Thunder City. What had happened in Thunder City had thoroughly shaken the entire Eastern realms. Longao began to become more and more famous in the Eastern realm. Mo-ing, who was still in Thunder City, did not dare to come out. He never thought that Longao would be a powerful array master, and rely on arrays to kill 15 half-step Dao verification martial artists in a row. However, Mo-ing still did not put Longao in his eyes. In his opinion, the reason why Longao could kill 15 half-step Dao verification martial artists was because he lured them into an array. If he relied on his own strength, would Longao be qualified? Chapter 3340. A Head-on Confrontation. Mo-ing was full of confidence that he could easily kill Longao. However, Mo-ing did not act immediately. After all, he had not recovered from his injuries yet. It was not the best time to fight Longao head-on. The most important thing now was to recover from his injuries as soon as possible. To Piglet, this time's massacre was simply too exciting. After devouring the primordial spirits of 19 half-step Dao validation martial artists in a row, in addition to the primordial spirits of many chaotic martial artists, Piglet could be considered to have eaten his fill. According to Longao's guess, since Piglet had devoured so many primordial spirits, he should be able to break through the half-step Dao validation realm and reach the true Dao validation realm. But the result? After devouring so many primordial spirits, Piglet still did not break through and remained in the half-step Dao validation realm. Piglet, tell me, how many primordial spirits do you need to devour to successfully break through? This was the key point. All of Piglet's remarkable abilities were incomparably heaven-defying, especially that roar. To him, it was simply adding wings to a tiger. According to this situation, once Piglet's cultivation base successfully broke through to the Dao validation realm, it would be of great help to him. However, according to Piglet's situation, it would be very difficult to break through. He did not leave Thunder City. Longao was prepared to stay in Thunder City and cultivate well, hoping to break through to the chaotic reincarnation realm as soon as possible. Since you're here, why don't you show yourself? Longao, who was cultivating in the courtyard, suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the space in front of him. Longao really could not figure out who could release such a powerful aura other than a Dao validation martial artist. According to legend, there seemed to be only 5 Dao validation martial artists in the entire Nether Realm. There were 5 major realms in the Nether Realm, namely the Eastern Realm, Western Realm, Southern Realm, Northern Realm, and Central Realm. The lords of the 5 major realms were all Dao validation martial artists. There was almost no need to guess. Thunder City belonged to the Eastern Realm. In this case, the Dao validation martial artist who came this time was very likely to be the legendary lord of the Eastern Realm. It seems that you've already guessed my identity. It was a middle-aged man with a gentle and refined appearance. He gave off the feeling of a scholar, and there was no aura emanating from his body. Space collapsed around the middle-aged man, and he walked out of the collapsed space. Lord of the Eastern region. He was the Lord of the Eastern Realm, a true Dao-proving warrior. Longao was ready at any time. As long as something went wrong, he would immediately turn around and leave. who knew why the Lord of the Eastern region had come to find him. He seemed to be able to see through Longao's thoughts. He smiled. The Lord of the Eastern region, Yulin, smiled and said, "If I'm not wrong, you should be from the outside primal chaos realm." Nodding his head, Longao did not hide anything. He came from the primal chaos realm, so there was nothing he could hide. Thunder City belongs to my Eastern realms and I am the ruler of the Eastern realms. You destroyed 3 great clans in my territory. Aren't you looking down on me? If it was an ordinary person, seeing a Tao-proving warrior, they would definitely explain immediately. After all, it was the Bai clan who provoked them, and the Lu and Shao clans also wanted to kill him. On the other hand, Longao did not say anything. He just looked at the other party with a cold smile. He did not want to talk nonsense. In Longao's opinion, so what if the other party was a Tao-proving warrior? He might not be a match for a Tao-proving warrior now, but it did not mean that he would not be a match for a Tao-proving warrior in the future. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years was not too late. Ha 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 ha. All of a sudden, Yulin looked up to the sky and laughed. Not bad. Heroes come from the young. You're just a Tao-proving warrior now. It's hard to imagine. When you reach Tao-proving warrior in the future, you will definitely surpass me. I want to know the purpose of your visit this time. Longao could clearly sense that the other party did not have any killing intent towards him this time. He was very confident in his senses. It's simple. I need your help. Because I'm an array master. That's right. Being an array master is something that defies the heavens. It's countless times more difficult than cultivation. There are probably less than 3 Tao-proving array masters in the entire Chaos realm, including the Nether realm. I can't invite such a person. But you can use your array to kill 19 half-step Tao-proving warriors in a row. It shows that your array attainments have reached a very high level. Longao did not speak. Until now, he did not know what the other party wanted. Even if he wanted to help the other party, he had to first see what the other party wanted. There were some things that he could help with, but there were also times when he could not. Previously, he could not figure out why the Lord of the East would come looking for him. After all, even if he destroyed the 3 great families of Thunder City, it was nothing to the Lord of the East. In the end, it turned out that the Lord of the East had taken a fancy to his array. Not caring, Yulin continued, there is a forbidden area in the Nether realm. There is something inside that I want to get. And in this forbidden area, there is an array laid down by a Tao-proving warrior. At this point, Yulin did not continue, but the meaning of his words was very clear. Longao was not a fool. How could he not understand? After thinking about it, he said, "It seems that you have overestimated me. My array skills can only deal with half-step Tao-proving warriors at most. How can I break an array laid down by a Tao-proving array master?" How could Longao not know what it meant to be a Tao-proving array master? It was precisely because he knew the power of a Tao-proving array master that he had self-awareness. He almost did not need to go to know what was going on. How do you know if you don't try? Longao stared at the Lord of the Eastern region in front of him. After thinking for a while, he finally nodded and said, "If that's the case, then I'll go with you." Yulin smiled. Yulin did not care about what happened in Thunder City at all. The 3 great families were destroyed, but new ones would rise. Even if the entire Thunder City was destroyed, he did not care. Originally, Longao wanted to lock onto Emoing and kill him first. However, at this time, he could not care less. After all, the Lord of the East had come in person. He still had to give him face. No one knew that Longao had left Thunder City, including Emoing. However, for the people of Thunder City, the current Longao was like a god of death. They knew what it meant to be able to destroy the 3 great families. It would be a lie to say that they were not afraid. However, since the destruction of the 3 great families, Longao had completely disappeared. Although Longao said that he would not massacre the people of Thunder City, many people still did not believe him. Chapter 33-41. The Nether Realm. Heaven's Burial Peak, one of the forbidden areas of the Eastern Realm. Not to mention whether anyone could enter the Eastern Realm, the Lord of the Eastern Realm, Yulin, would not agree to this. As soon as he stepped into Heaven's Burial Peak, Longao's face became extremely solemn. "Master, how is it?" Longao was cautious. After entering Heaven's Burial Peak, he asked his master, Xianyuan Bubi, to try to sense the Heaven's Burial Peak to see what tricks there were. Xianyuan Bubi did not speak. What did this mean? Longao found that he could not communicate with his master at all, and did not know what he meant. "Boss, there are treasures here." Hearing Piglet's spiritual sense transmission, Longao's heart skipped a beat. "Piglet, can you sense what kind of treasures are in Heaven's Burial Peak?" "I can't." He was very disappointed. If Piglet could sense what kind of treasures were in Heaven's Burial Peak, then the following things would be much easier. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Longao did not shrink back. Since he was already here, then no matter what difficulties he encountered, he would have to face them. He then asked, "Brother Yu, I have already sensed the formation here. As for whether I can break it, I don't know." As a formation master, Longao's level of formation was not what it used to be. He could clearly sense how heaven-defying the formation of Heaven's Burial Peak was. If it was in the past, Longao would definitely not be able to break the formation, but now, he also wanted to try and see how heaven-defying the formation was. Yulin's face was more or less pleasantly surprised. He nodded and said, "Remember, you only need to be outside the formation. Don't enter the formation. Otherwise, if you can't break it, even I can't save you." "Would Yulin be so kind?" Longao would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. According to his guess, if nothing unexpected happened, the biggest reason why Yulin did not let him enter the formation was that he was afraid that he would break the formation and take away the treasures of Heaven's Burial Peak. At that time, Yulin, who did not understand formations, could only watch helplessly. "Thank you." What he said was one thing, but what he was thinking was another. Both of them had their own ulterior motives. Longao didn't enter the array formation. Instead, he began to carefully observe the entire array formation. The more he observed, the more shocked he became. This array formation was truly worthy of being arranged by an array formation master. He really wanted to continue studying array formations. He could only do research outside. That was bullsh*t. "Brother Yu, forgive me for being blunt. Please speak." "Brother Yu, I believe that you have some understanding of formations. Just by studying the formation outside, I can tell you right now that I can't do it." How could Yulin not understand the meaning of Longao's words? However, he also had his own thoughts. If the other party really broke through the array formation and went out of his control, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Go. If he could not even break the array, then everything else would be meaningless. If it were any other ordinary chaotic martial artist, Yulin would not have taken him seriously. Only array masters were different. The strangeness and abilities of array masters could be imagined. However, in desperation, Yulin could only choose to agree. Besides agreeing, he had no other choice. Longao sneered in his heart. How could he not know Yulin's intention? He didn't say much nonsense. Once he entered the array formation, everything would be up to him. Yulin, who didn't understand array formations, could only stand aside. In front of array formations, Tao-confirming martial artists were nonsense, especially in a place like Heaven's Burial Peak. Longao also knew one thing, that was, Yulin did not dare to step into the array formation. In the end, he was still afraid of the array formation. It seemed that this array formation was really incomparably powerful. Even Tao-confirming martial artists were afraid of it. Taking a step forward, Long Ao's figure instantly entered the formation. What's going on? Boss, what's wrong? Feeling the aura of the array formation around him, Long Ao was completely dumbfounded. 9 heavens 10 earths killing array. When he was in the soaring dragon's starry sky, the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array was an ordinary array formation. Many array masters knew it, so it was not rare. However, as his attainments in array formations became stronger and stronger, he continued to strengthen the 9 heavens 10 earths killing array. Long Ao was full of confidence that in the entire chaotic world, there was no one else who could arrange such a 9 heavens 10 earths killing array except for him. It was really strange. Long Ao said helplessly, "Little pig, you don't know. This array formation of Heaven's Burial Peak is a 9 heavens 10 earths killing array that I created myself. I really don't understand how someone in the nether realm can arrange such a 9 heavens 10 earths killing array." Of course, Piglet knew what his boss meant. His face was also filled with shock. He couldn't figure out what the reason was. Since the 9 heavens 10 earths killing formation was created by his boss, the more he thought about it, the more confused he got. Long Ao did not continue to say anything. He began to sense it slowly. Gradually, the entire array formation began to form a vortex, and Long Ao was sucked into it. In the next second, before Long Ao could react, Long Ao had already appeared in an independent space. "Master, you're finally here." Looking at the tall man in front of him, Long Ao was a little curious. "Master? What master? I'm the other party's master? What's going on?" Long Ao had too many questions and curiosity in his heart. "Who are you? Why do you call me master?" The tall man knelt down respectfully and said, "Master, I can't tell you the details yet, but the thing I helped you protect is still here in good condition. Fortunately, I did not disappoint you." "Help me protect something?" Long Ao had a headache. It was too strange. He didn't know whether he should believe what was happening in front of his eyes or not. However, the 9 heavens 10 earths killing formation that was laid out here was right in front of him. He couldn't help but believe it. "What did you help me protect?" Since the other party had already said so, Long Ao did not continue to ask. This was because he was very clear that if the other party wanted to tell him, there was no need for him to ask. He believed that the other party would tell him. If the other party did not want to tell him, no matter how much he asked, the other party would not tell him. There was no doubt about that. "Master, my primordial spirit has to leave the seal. Otherwise, it will disappear. When you awaken, I will be reborn to help you." Without waiting for Long Ao to continue speaking, in the next second, the tall man's figure had already disappeared without a trace. He was very depressed, but more than that, he was curious. He still did not know what was going on. Everything had become too strange. "Boss, look." Chapter 33-42. Looking from afar. Long Ao realized that there was a ball of light at the place where the tall man had disappeared. In the light, the shadow of an axe was looming. Could it be the axe soul? Long Ao was completely stunned. He could clearly sense what the axe soul in the light meant. The axe soul was tailor-made for his chaos axe. He was surprised and did not dare to hesitate. He walked towards the light step by step. In front of the light, he took out the chaos axe. The chaos axe was shrouded in the light. In the next second, the axe soul entered the chaos axe. In just a few seconds, the two merged together. The light appeared and Long Ao held the chaos axe tightly. "Boss, how do you feel?" Piglet seemed to have sensed something and asked impatiently. "I feel great." The moment he held the chaos axe, Long Ao felt that his body was filled with endless power. He did not need to increase the power of the chaos axe at all. He had achieved it naturally. How could he not be excited? How could he not be excited? The tall man had disappeared. No matter how curious Long Ao was, he could only hide it in his heart. However, since the tall man had called him master, there must be something fishy. On the heaven's burial peak, Longao looked at the formation around him and laughed. Even if he beat Yulin to death, he believed that Yulin would never expect that the 9 heavens 10 earths killing formation here was actually a formation that he had created himself. If it was any other array, he would have no way to break it. Only this so-called 9 heavens 10 earths killing array was different. Can you break the array? Looking at Longao who came out of the array, Yulin immediately asked. In Yulin's opinion, since he could enter the array and come out smoothly, he must have a certain understanding of the array. Longao shook his head. With a helpless look, he said helplessly, although I can walk out of this array, I can't break it. Once the array is opened, even I will die. Yulin did not have any doubts. Previously, the reason why he sought out Longao was because he wanted to give it a try. Because he was also very clear that with Longao's strength and attainments in array formations, wanting to break open a Tao-confirming array formation set up by a Tao-confirming cultivator was indeed a fool's dream. He was very disappointed. He forced a smile. Since that's the case, we'll leave first. Then, he left with Longao. Heaven's burial peak was located in the eastern region. As the lord of the eastern region, Yulin did not allow anyone to set foot on Heaven's burial peak. The way Yulin saw it, he would break open the array formation sooner or later and obtain the thing that he wanted. Brother Long, are you planning to leave the Nether Realm? Longao didn't hide anything. He nodded and said, back then, I accidentally entered the Nether Realm. But now, it seems that leaving the Nether Realm is a little impossible. Hearing Yulin's words, Longao's heart stirred. Could it be that Yulin had a way to let him leave the Nether Realm? If that was really the case, then that would be great. After all, the current him was no longer the same as before. Although his cultivation had yet to break through half a step into the Tao-confirming martial warriors, with his own level of array formations and the help of Piglet's ability, dealing with Gu Hao was more than enough. Longao was also completely confident that there would definitely be other entrances between the Nether Realm and the Chaos Realm other than the one from before. It was just that he did not know about it. Looks like Brother Long has already guessed it. Longao did not say anything, and only looked at Yulin in front of him, wanting to hear what Yulin wanted to say next. There are a total of 5 realms in the Nether Realm. Other than my Eastern Realm, there are also the Western Realm, the Southern Realm, the Northern Realm, and the Middle Realm. Longao still did not say anything. He already knew that there were 5 realms in the Nether Realm, but he did not know why Yulin would suddenly bring up the matter of the 5 realms. Could it be that the exit had something to do with the matter of the 5 realms? Each of the 5 great domains has an exit. However, we are guarding it with all our might. The entrance that you have entered can only be considered as a weak point in space. You can only enter but not exit. Forget about you, even I am unable to leave the underworld from there. Hearing this, Longao's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that the masters of the 5 realms could enter and leave the Nether Realm at will. The 5 of them were truly shameless to the extreme. They guarded the exit themselves but did not allow others to leave. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. The masters of the 5 realms were the rulers of the Nether Realm, so how could they disturb the order of the Nether Realm? Not to mention the masters of the 5 realms, he believed that anyone would do the same, including himself. Brother Yu, can you let me out? Sure, but Brother Long must agree to 2 of my conditions. Please speak. There was no free lunch in the world. Longao was very clear about this principle. As long as the other party's 2 conditions were not too excessive, then what was the harm in agreeing to it? As long as he could leave the Nether Realm, it would be fine. Yulin smiled and said, I'll come find you in 3 years. 3 years? Why 3 years? However, before Longao could open his mouth to ask, Yulin's figure had already disappeared. Staring at the man who had disappeared, Longao's face instantly turned gloomy. What a shameless thing! Although he did not know why Yulin wanted to wait for 3 years, Longao knew that things were definitely not that simple. Only Yulin knew about the exit. Taking a step back, even if he knew about the exit, in the situation where his strength was not comparable to Yulin, everything was useless. It was simply nonsense. He felt helpless. However, entering the Heaven's Burial Peak this time could be considered as having some protection. After all, the fusion of the Axe spirit with the primal Chaos Axe was simply a pleasant surprise for him. As for the tall man who appeared before and called him master, it seemed that he still could not figure out what was going on. He could only wait until he reached the Tao realm in the future to figure out what was going on. After leaving the Heaven's Burial Peak, Longao once again returned to Thunder City at the fastest speed. Although the 3 great families had been destroyed by him, there was still Mo-ing to deal with. He had to cut the weeds and eliminate the root. Otherwise, when Mo-ing recovered his full strength, it would be troublesome. Mo-ing was still a half-step Tao realm expert. Although Little Pig's magical ability was heaven-defying, who knew if there would be an accident? It was better to kill him as soon as possible. As for his array, it was useless in the Nether realm. After all, his array could not be sent into the primal chaos Dantian. It was easy to casually lead people into the array, but it was impossible to succeed every time. If Bai Xian and the others had not underestimated him before, it would have been impossible to enter the array. Chapter 33-43 Thunder City. The current Thunder City had undergone a change of dynasty. The previous 3 major families had been destroyed by Longao. 3 new families replaced them, becoming the 3 major families of Thunder City. The Miao family was one of the 3 major families. Miao Yiba, the young master of the Miao family. Usually, he liked to bully others. With the Miao family as his backing, Miao Yiba was fearless. Longao had just returned to Thunder City and was about to lock onto Mo Ying's location. Just at this moment. Are you blind? How dare you block my path? I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and admit your mistake. Crawl through my men's pants. Otherwise, crack. Before Miao Yiba could finish his words, both of his knees were on the ground. His face was filled with fear. What did you just say? Senior, After saying the word I 3 times, Miao Yiba's forehead started to sweat due to the pressure he was under. As for Miao Yiba's men, they were all dumbfounded. As the saying goes, once an expert makes a move, you'll know whether he's an expert or not. The strength displayed by the other party was too strong. Now that the Miao family's experts weren't here, what could they do if the other party killed them? Even if the family could avenge them, what could they do? The dead couldn't be revived. Usually, Miao Yiba was used to being a tyrant. In Thunder City, as long as he didn't offend the other 2 major families, he would be safe. But today, he had offended such an expert. Senior. Longao's face was filled with disgust. He didn't want to say anything more. He immediately released his terrifying aura and suppressed Miao Yiba. With Miao Yiba's strength, it was obvious what this meant and what the outcome would be. The news of Miao Yiba's death had spread across the entire Thunder City. Someone dared to go against the Miao family? With the Miao family's strength and status, it was obvious what would happen to this person. But what was the outcome? Not only did the Miao family not cause any trouble, but the Miao family's patriarch brought the elders of the Miao family to find Longao and apologized respectfully. The Miao family's patriarch hated Miao Yiba to the core. Of all the people to offend, he had to offend this malefactor. Could it be that the Miao family was going to be destroyed after their rise? He was very unwilling to accept this. However, in the face of such a lunatic, no one in the Miao family dared to have the slightest killing intent. An expert who could even destroy the Bai family and the other 2 great families, a small Miao family was not even enough to fill the gaps between his teeth. The head of the Miao family naturally knew the current situation. The life and death of the Miao family was in the hands of the man in front of him. Regarding the Miao family's intentions, how could Longao not know? However, he had a principle, and that was to not offend others unless they offended him. If Miao Yiba hadn't provoked him, he wouldn't have bothered to make a move. Since the entire Miao family had come to apologize, he didn't want to pursue the matter any further. He waved his hand. Longao said impatiently, "Get lost?" Not only was the Miao family not the slightest bit angry when they heard that. Instead, they nodded their heads in pleasant surprise. They didn't dare to say anything and hurriedly left. As long as the other party didn't slaughter the Miao family, it would be a blessing in disguise. Not to mention the Miao family, even the entire Thunder City didn't know why Longao had stopped. In everyone's opinion, those who provoked Longao would definitely die. They never thought that it would be such a result. The Miao family was nothing to Longao. It was still the same sentence. Now, Longao was fully focused on locking onto Moing. He had to lock onto the other party's traces in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, when Mo Ying's cultivation broke through to the Dao validation realm, he would be in big trouble. Although he had Piglet's help, he wasn't afraid of half-step Dao validation martial artists and could even kill them. However, no one knew when Mo Ying would succeed in his Dao validation. It was better to be safe than sorry. Longao knew very well what it meant once Mo Ying succeeded in his Dao validation. He directly released his essence spirit and almost covered the entire Thunder City. If it were anyone else, they would have already been besieged by countless people. After all, this kind of action made many people feel uncomfortable. Only Longao didn't care about anything else. As long as he could lock onto Mo Ying's trace, he would do anything. Even if he had to face the entire Thunder City, he wouldn't hesitate. With the previous example, as long as there wasn't water in their heads, no one would take the initiative to provoke Longao. Provoking a madman, one could imagine the consequences. There were only two possibilities for not being able to sense Mo Ying's trace. The first possibility was that Mo Ying was still in Thunder City and was just hiding his aura in the dark. In this case, it would be difficult for him to lock onto Mo Ying's aura. The second possibility was that Mo Ying was already in Thunder City. This was what Longao was really worried about. In any case, the Nether Realm had a total of 5 boundaries and was boundless. It was impossible to lock onto a person's trace. As time passed, Longao's face became more and more gloomy. He knew very well that if there was no accident, the second possibility was that Mo Ying should have already left Thunder City. The Nether Realm was so big, where would he find Mo Ying? It would be a headache. Just as Longao had guessed, Mo Ying was waiting for his injuries to recover before joining forces with the 3 great families to kill Longao. However, he never imagined that Longao would be so powerful. He had relied on the power of his spirit array to directly destroy the 3 great families and slaughter 19 half-step Dao validation cultivators. What kind of concept was this? Mo Ying was not a fool. Since Longao could kill 19 half-step Dao validation cultivators, then there was no doubt that Longao could also kill him. Whether it was Longao's spirit beast or the power of his spirit array, both could deal with him. If he continued to stay in Thunder City and was locked onto by Longao, the consequences would be unimaginable. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. Because of this, Mo Ying finally decided to leave Thunder City first. As for dealing with Longao, there would be plenty of time in the future. Even if he could not reach Dao validation, he could still ask the 5 great realm lords for help. It was almost certain that Mo Ying had already left Thunder City. Longao also did not want to stay any longer. The next morning, just as the first light of dawn shone over the entire Thunder City, a figure quickly left. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. As soon as Longao left, a figure appeared out of thin air outside Thunder City. It was none other than the Lord of the Eastern region, Yulin. Yulin coldly looked at the gradually disappearing figure. Yulin always felt that there was something wrong with this person. As for what was wrong, he could not tell. However, things had not reached that point yet, so he did not want to take action too early. P.S. I recommend Ra and Shi's new book, Ancient Mad God. It is a very good fantasy novel. Chapter 33-44. There were a total of 5 worlds in the underworld. They were the Eastern Realm, Western Realm, Southern Realm, Northern Realm, and Central Realm. The Eastern Realms was vast and boundless. There were many cities and towns in the East World as well. Among all the cities and towns, Thunder City could only be considered as above average. After leaving Thunder City, Longao was ready to start his training. He still had 3 years of time. After 3 years, he would be able to make a deal with Yulin and leave the underworld smoothly for the Chaos World. That was the reason. He had to think of a way to break through from Chaos Reincarnation State to Chaos Reincarnation State Pinnacle State within 3 years. In just 3 years, for martial artists, this was simply way too short a time. Even Longao himself did not have full confidence that he could break through from Chaos Reincarnation State to Chaos Reincarnation State Pinnacle State within 3 years. East World Mountain Range, this was a heaven for legendary beasts. Countless legendary beasts were gathered here, and many martial artists wished to enter the East World Mountain Range to train. Even though it was fraught with dangers, the opportunities were endless as well, allowing one to break through their own strength quickly. The first place that Longao chose to head to was the East World Mountain Range. The outer perimeter of the mountain range was filled with some weak legendary beasts. Given Longao's current strength, they were of no use at all. Without even thinking, Longao headed straight for the deepest part of the mountain range. His speed was extremely fast, and he disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Boom, boom, boom. Deep in the mountain range, there were many powerful beings who were fighting with the legendary beasts. It was either you live or I die. In a place like this, any slight mistake would result in one being consigned to eternal damnation. Longao did not bother about the others. The reason why he entered the East World Mountain Range this time around was to break through his own strength as soon as possible. Reincarnation Legendary Beast, 9 Heavens Thunder Beast. Longao had not expected to meet such legendary beasts in the underworld. He was surprised. According to the legends, the 9 Heavens Thunder Beast was the most powerful Chaos legendary beast of reincarnation. If it were him in the past, he would definitely not be a match for the 9 Heavens Thunder Beast. But right now, the situation was completely different. This was especially the case for the Chaos Axe in his hands that he had fused with the Axe Spirit. In the blink of an eye, Longao and the 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Beast were already fighting crazily. From beginning to end, the 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Beast did not put Longao in his eyes. A small human being, if he wanted to kill him, it would be a matter of minutes. But what was the result? Not to mention settling it in minutes, as the battle continued to escalate, the 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Beast was actually suppressed by a small human. Humiliation. It was an absolute humiliation. Facing this kind of humiliation, how could the Heavenly Thunder Beast not go crazy? He immediately started to risk his life, but just as he was risking his life, Longao used his trump card. God-slaying finger. The terrifying space began to collapse. Just as the 9 Heavens Divine Thunder Beast was shocked, Longao's eyes turned cold instantly. The chaotic talisman in his hand directly hacked out. The power of the chaotic Chaos Axe, which had fused with the Axe Soul, was no longer the same as before. With an unparalleled power, it was like a whirlpool, directly enveloping the 9 Heavens Divine Lightning Beast. Completely shocked, The Nine Heavens Divine Thunder Beast would never have thought that a small human warrior would have such a powerful ability. He could not even figure out how a warrior, who was only at the early stage of the chaotic reincarnation realm, could make the space collapse. Whether it was a human warrior or a divine beast, if they wanted to make the space collapse, they must succeed in proving their Tao. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do it. In that case, how did the other party do it? If he did not experience it personally, even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe it was true. Unbelievable! The Nine Heavens Divine Thunder Beast, who was slowly confident, was completely frightened in this situation. He did not dare to continue the battle and directly turned around to escape. As long as he could leave smoothly, he did not even dare to think about it now. It was completely nonsense to kill the other party. How could Longao choose to give up? Piglet needed to devour a large number of primordial spirits to have a chance of proving his Tao. Once Piglet succeeded in proving his Tao, it would be like adding wings to a tiger for him. Therefore, the most important thing now was to help Piglet succeed in proving his Tao as soon as possible while he continued to train. The primal chaos axe in his hand once again fiercely chopped out. It was earth-shattering. Under Longao's powerful attack, the Nine Heavens Divine Lightning Beast could not resist at all. With a kacha sound, the Nine Heavens Divine Lightning Beast was directly beheaded. Until the moment of his death, the Nine Heavens Divine Thunder Beast did not expect that he would die here. He had dominated this place for countless years and was very unwilling. With endless unwillingness, he finally fell down. Piglet, I'll leave it to you. Okay. Piglet was very surprised. Although the primordial spirit of a chaotic reincarnation divine beast was not as good as that of a half-step Tao proving divine beast, if he could accumulate a huge primordial spirit, it would be quite helpful for his Tao proving divine beast. Longao had a general understanding of his own strength. Although his cultivation had not broken through the peak of the chaotic reincarnation realm, with the power of the god-slaying finger and the chaotic chaos axe, he could kill a peak chaotic reincarnation divine beast or a peak chaotic reincarnation divine beast. As for facing a half-step Tao proving divine beast or a half-step Tao proving divine beast, he was still a little weak. Unless he could arrange a formation, but without the help of the chaotic Dantian, his formation would not be able to exert its greatest benefits. He was helpless. If he faced one or two half-step Tao proving divine beasts, with the help of Piglet's magical ability, he could still kill them. If he encountered more half-step Tao proving divine beasts, even with Piglet's help, he would not be able to kill them and would even put himself in danger. There was no doubt about this. It would depend on his luck. If he could encounter one or two half-step Tao proving divine beasts every day, then it would be the best thing. In that case, if he and Piglet joined forces, they would be almost invincible under the Tao proving divine beast. However, even in the eastern boundary mountain range, it was not easy to encounter a half-step Tao proving divine beast. As time passed quickly, a year passed in the blink of an eye. It had to be said that Longao's luck was indeed good. During this year, he would encounter a half-step Tao proving divine beast every once in a while. In a year, he had killed about 15 half-step Tao proving divine beasts. As for the ordinary chaotic divine beasts, there were thousands of them. As for the lower divine beasts, Longao had no interest in them at all. What made Longao depressed was that even after devouring such a huge primordial spirit, Piglet's cultivation still had not successfully broken through and successfully reached Tao proving divine beast. Chapter 33:45. Longao was extremely depressed. He originally thought that Piglet had devoured so many essence spirits that he could successfully attain the Tao and become a divine beast. However, he never thought that Piglet would not succeed in attaining the Tao even after devouring such a huge amount of essence spirit. It was simply too ridiculous. Even Longao could not help but ask, Piglet, what's going on? Why can't you attain the Tao after devouring such a huge amount of essence spirit? According to what Piglet said before, he did not have any bottlenecks in attaining the Tao. As long as he could devour enough essence spirits, he could successfully attain the Tao. But in the end, how many essence spirits had he devoured? He chuckled. Piglet also looked embarrassed. He did not expect that he would not succeed in attaining the Tao even after devouring such a huge amount of essence spirit. Boss, I'm a mutated divine beast. My grandparents and parents are all divine beasts. Under normal circumstances, I can break through to the Tao realm in a matter of minutes. Longao did not say anything. It was not that he was reluctant, but he was very curious. Not to mention the primordial spirit that Piglet devoured, even if he devoured more primordial spirits, Longao would not say anything. Longao just wanted to know what was going on with Piglet. If he could solve it as soon as possible, he could also let Piglet attain the Tao as soon as possible. Of course, Piglet knew what his boss meant. He smiled and said, Boss, you can say that if I'm not a mutated divine beast, I would have already successfully attained the Tao. Longao still did not say anything and just listened quietly. It seemed that Piglet already knew why he was still unable to attain the Tao despite devouring such a huge amount of essence spirits. Boss, the essence spirits that I devoured previously were all helping me digest the mutation. It's far from enough. I can only succeed in attaining the Tao after I truly mutate. So that was the case. Longao already knew what Piglet meant. In the end, Piglet had not completely mutated yet. All the essence spirits that he had devoured were still fused with the mutation. I will do my best to help you. Piglet did not thank him. There was no need for thanks between them. Everything was understood without words. Within a year, Longao's strength had increased greatly and he was only a step away from the peak of the chaotic reincarnation realm. Longao was full of confidence. In the remaining 2 years, he would be able to break through to the peak of primal chaos reincarnation realm. Boss, there's something I want to tell you. Go ahead. Longao was very curious. He did not know what Piglet wanted to say to him. Boss, I don't think Yulin is a good person. Why did he ask you to wait for 3 years? Does he know that you can reach the peak chaotic reincarnation realm within 3 years? His heart stirred. How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? This was also something that he had considered. From the beginning to the end, he had never believed in Yulin. He nodded. Little pig, I know what you mean. But if I want to leave the Nether Realm, I can only cooperate with Yulin. Otherwise, unless I have the strength to defeat Yulin, it is not realistic. Yulin was a genuine Tao Affirmation Realm martial artist. If he wanted to defeat him, he had to affirm his Tao and become a Tao Affirmation Realm martial artist. But now, he could not even break through the half-step Tao Affirmation Realm, let alone the real Tao Affirmation Realm. It was easy to think about, but it was very difficult to cultivate, especially when he was at the last step of the Tao Affirmation Realm. He was almost killed by the mysterious aura. Until now, Longao still had lingering fear. He did not know if what happened back then would happen again. Longao could not figure out what the mysterious aura that destroyed him was. Boss, you should be careful. It's okay. I'll deal with it as it comes. I don't believe that Yulin can play any tricks. Although Yulin was a Tao Affirmation Realm martial artist, Longao was not too worried. There were still 2 years before the agreed time with Yulin. Longao did not waste any time and continued to kill divine beasts. No matter what realm the divine beast was, as long as he encountered it, he would kill it. According to Piglet, if he wanted to completely mutate successfully, the power of the primordial spirit was too huge. If he could not mutate successfully, then he would not be able to affirm his Tao. Longao had already guessed a little about Piglet. Although Piglet wanted to mutate and needed a huge amount of primordial spirit, this was also a good thing. The more difficult it was to mutate, the larger the primordial spirit he had to devour. Once he succeeded in affirming his Tao, he believed that Piglet's strength would be stronger. This should not be wrong. It was just Longao's guess. As for whether it was true or not, he was not sure. Relatively mutated divine beasts were very rare, especially Piglet's identity was so special. Not only were his parents Tao Affirmation Realm divine beasts, but even his grandparents were Tao Affirmation Realm divine beasts. In the entire chaotic world, there was probably no other one. Piglet did not care so much and helped Longao to constantly kill divine beasts of chaos. Time passed bit by bit. In the remaining 2 years, Longao killed hundreds of thousands of divine beasts of chaos. There were no less than 30 divine beasts of half-step Tao affirmation. Even though Piglet had devoured such a huge amount of primordial spirit, he still had not mutated completely. However, according to Piglet, he had already mutated 1/3 of his primordial spirit. As long as he could complete the remaining 2/3, he would successfully mutate and successfully affirm his Tao, becoming a Tao Affirmation Realm divine beast. Hearing Piglet's words, Longao was a little shocked. Although he already knew that Piglet had to devour a huge amount of primordial spirit in order to mutate completely, he was still shocked by such a huge number. He had only devoured 1/3 of such a huge amount of primordial spirit. It was hard to imagine how much primordial spirit he had to devour in order to mutate completely. Originally, he wanted to continue killing divine beasts. In this way, Piglet would be able to mutate with the help of the primordial spirit devouring power and affirm his Tao after a few decades. However, he did not know why Yulin knew that he was in the eastern boundary mountain range. "Brother Yu, are you looking for me?" Longao asked, even though he already knew the answer. Previously, he might have wanted to leave as soon as possible. However, at this moment, Longao was no longer in a hurry. He still hoped to wait for Little Pig to succeed and then leave on his own. Yulin smiled and said indifferently, "I've already told you that 3 years later, as long as you agree to one of my conditions, I'll open the entrance to the Nether Realm and let you leave the Nether Realm and return to the Chaotic Realm. Now that the time has come, I wonder if you're ready." Before Longao could speak, Yulin suddenly said, "I am also from the Chaotic Realm. However, after a long time, I have already regarded myself as someone from the underworld." Chapter 3346. Longao had already guessed that Yulin came from the Chaos Realm. There was not the slightest surprise. Just as Yulin said, he was now a person of the Nether Realm. If Yulin wanted, he could leave the Nether Realm at any time and return to the Chaos Realm. Longao did not speak because he did not know what Yulin's conditions were. He wanted to leave the Nether Realm, but he had to see what price he had to pay. There were some prices that even he was not willing to pay. "Longao, the Nether Realm has a total of 5 Realm Lords, I believe you already know." He nodded. How could Longao not know what Yulin was talking about? The Nether Realm had a total of 5 Realm Lords, namely the East Realm Lord, the West Realm Lord, the South Realm Lord, the North Realm Lord, and the Middle Realm Lord. It was just that Longao did not know what Yulin meant by this. "The 5 of us have been fighting openly and secretly for so many years, but no one can kill each other. Brother Yu, if you have something to say, you might as well say it." Longao was very depressed in his heart. Yulin really knew how to beat around the bush. It was just that he wanted to use him to kill a Tao-confirming martial artist. Don't even think about it, he could not do it at all. It was complete nonsense. What it meant to be a Tao-confirming martial artist, he knew better than anyone else. Not to mention the current him, even if he became a half-step Tao-confirming martial artist, it was impossible to compete with a real Tao-confirming martial artist. This was the gap between him and a Tao-confirming martial artist. There was no doubt about it. Seeming to be able to guess what Longao was thinking, Yulin smiled and said, "It seems that you have guessed it. I want you to help me deal with the 4 of them." Impossible. Without even thinking about it, Longao directly refused. It was really what he was afraid of. Yulin really wanted him to deal with the 4 Tao-confirming martial artists. He did not know if Yulin's brain was flooded with water or if his head was kicked by a donkey. However, Longao did not say much, nor did he ask for the reason. He definitely wanted to leave the Nether Realm and return to the Chaos Realm. And the conditions that Yulin gave, he really could not accept. Yulin was not angry at all. He had already guessed that the other party would make such a choice. Compared to a Tao-confirming martial artist, it was simply a matter of certain death. He also wanted to use Longao as cannon fodder. After all, a puny primal chaos samsara martial artist was nothing in his eyes. Even half-step Tao validation martial artists were the same. His heart was one thing, but his mouth was another. He smiled. "Longao, you are a powerful formation master. As long as you have enough time, I believe you will be able to set up a heaven-defying formation. Let's work together and break it one by one." Waving his hand, Longao's face clearly showed impatience. He already knew clearly what Yulin meant. Yulin's attainments in array formations were not bad, but so what if they were not bad? Wanting to rely on the array formation to contend against a Tao-confirming martial artist was simply seeking death. He was not a fool. How could he agree so easily? Yulin also did not expect that before he could finish speaking, the other party would reject him so harshly. Yulin did not give him any face at all. As the dignified lord of the Eastern Realm and one of the 5 great Tao-confirming martial artists, no matter where he went, he was a high and mighty person. When had he ever been treated like this? However, for his own sake, Yulin still suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "Longao, if you promise me that once we succeed, I will do my best to help you reach Tao confirming. In the future, you and I will split the Nether Realm equally. How about it?" Such a condition was indeed tempting. It would be a lie to say that he did not want it. Longao wanted it 100%, but he was very clear that if he wanted it, he needed to have the capital and strength to obtain it. Overestimating one's own strength was courting death. Yulin must have his own trick. If he wanted to kill the other Tao-confirming martial artists, it was nothing more than wanting to monopolize the Nether Realm. In that case, would Yulin be so kind as to give him half of the Nether Realm? Longao shook his head with a smile and said, "Brother Yu, with all due respect, with my strength and array formation, I can deal with a half-step Tao-confirming martial artist, but it is almost impossible to deal with a Tao-confirming martial artist, so I know my limits. I can only accept Brother Yu's kindness." Refuse. Longao still refused without hesitation. There were 2 reasons for his refusal. The first reason was that with his strength and array formation, he was indeed not a match for a Tao-confirming martial artist. Even if he joined forces with Yulin, it was unlikely that they would succeed. Even if they could successfully kill one, could they kill all the Tao-confirming martial artists in succession? The second reason was that although he did not know why Yulin wanted him to join, he could guess that Yulin did not have a good purpose. Cannon fodder? Or other purposes. After thinking about it, the safest way was to refuse. Although this might provoke Yulin, compared with killing the other 4 Tao-confirming martial artists, it was still more cost-effective. Until now, Longao still could not figure out why Yulin did not choose anyone else but him. Although he could use the array formation to deal with a half-step Tao-confirming martial artist, in the eyes of a Tao-confirming martial artist, this was nothing at all. Yulin's face finally changed and became a little gloomy. With his identity as the Lord of the Eastern Realm, he had invited the other party in such a humble manner, but he never expected that Longao would directly refuse him without even thinking about it. If it were anyone else, even if they knew that it was dangerous and that he had other purposes, he believed that they would reluctantly agree. After all, the consequences of offending a Tao-confirming martial artist could be imagined. Longao, you have to think clearly. If you insist on refusing me, not only will you not be able to leave the Nether Realm, but you will also lose your life. At this point, Yulin deliberately paused and did not continue, but the meaning of his words was clearly heard by Longao. A threat. A naked threat. Yulin had the capital to threaten him. Compared to Yulin's strength, if Yulin attacked at this time, he would be in great trouble. Especially now, he could not set foot in the chaotic Dantian at all. I still refuse. The more Yulin threatened, the more Longao refused. Yulin forcefully suppressed the murderous intent in his heart. For his own important matter, he had to endure it again and again. However, the other party simply did not know what was good for him and did not put him in his eyes at all. Until now, he still could not figure out what gave Longao such great courage to actually reject him again and again. In the chaotic reincarnation realm, even if he could use the array formation to kill a half-step Tao-confirming martial artist, in front of him, Longao was still an ant-like existence. Was the other party really not afraid of him? Or was this so-called Longao not afraid of death at all? His body began to release a terrifying aura and began to fiercely suppress. Chapter 33-47. Yulin was furious. The other party's repeated rejection was completely provoking him. It was just that a powerful array master could only be encountered by chance. He did not care about Longao's life and death at all. Brother Yu, if there's nothing else, then I'll take my leave first. He turned around and left. Without being able to enter the chaotic Dantian, he could not compete with Yulin at all. Humph! I gave you face, but you didn't want it. Yulin finally could not control his anger. For so many years, no one had dared to reject him like this, and it was even rejected again and again. Not only did he want to kill this person, but he also wanted to seize his soul to see how many secrets this person had. However, just as Yulin was about to make a move, he did not even have time to react. The piglet in Longao's arms suddenly let out a long howl. F***ck, even Yulin could not help but curse. He never thought that a half-step Tao validation divine beast would actually let out such a terrifying howl. You can't run away. Looking at Longao who had disappeared, Yulin sneered. Wanting to escape from his territory was like a fool's dream. As the Lord of the Eastern Realm, Yulin could mobilize the power of the entire Eastern Realm. Eastern Border Mountain Range. In a very secluded place. Piglet, in the following time, I will do my best to devour the primordial spirit and break through the half-step Tao validation realm. Boss, don't worry about me. Longao knew very well that if his strength did not break through, then he would have no chance at all. In the past, he was unwilling to break through the half-step Tao validation realm and was prepared to directly validate his Tao, but he did not expect it to end in failure. This time, he would first advance to the half-step Tao validation realm. In the following days, Longao continued to kill divine beasts at the fastest speed and began to devour the primordial spirit. As for the 9-revolution chaos technique, according to Longao's guess, as long as he could break through the 8th revolution, then he could successfully validate his Tao. On the 3rd day, Longao suddenly sensed the space laws around him. Although it was only the surface, he was pleasantly surprised. At this moment, Longao's cultivation base finally broke through to the half-step Tao validation realm from the chaos reincarnation realm. Martial artists who had proven their Tao could break the collapse of space and travel through it. As for the half-step Tao verification cultivators, It was impossible for an ordinary half-step Dao validation martial artist to step into a space collapse. Even if the space collapse could be broken, it was still unknown. Before Longao had broken through to the half-step Dao vindication realm, he had already been able to use the God-slaying finger to cause space to collapse. Not to mention now, even if he didn't use the God-slaying finger, he could still easily break through space. As for stepping into the collapse of space, that was a bit of a pipe dream. It was not something that was possible. Dao validation is not far away. Longao could clearly sense that he was not far from Dao confirming. Even if he hadn't really confirmed his Dao, according to his current strength, he could definitely fight with a Dao confirming martial artist. Let's see how strong I am now. The Nether Realm had a total of 5 Dao confirming cultivators. Among the 5, Yulin could be considered to have completely fallen out with him. As long as he had the chance, Longao would not hesitate to kill Yulin. Longao was never merciful to his enemies. Yulin had already gathered more than 1,000,000 chaos cultivators and began to seal off the entire eastern boundary mountain range. When Longao was about to leave, he found that the entire mountain range was filled with the aura of chaos cultivators. He didn't need to ask much at all. He already knew what had happened. Longao didn't care about anything else. Holding the chaos axe, he rushed out directly. If humans blocked him, he would kill them. If gods blocked him, he would kill them. Target locked. However, before anyone could react, they were already killed. Waves of power crisscrossed. With the chaos axe in his right hand and the god-slaying finger in his left, the god-slaying finger in his left hand, the god-slaying finger in his right, the chaos cultivators were swept into the collapse of space. None of the millions of chaos cultivators could stop Longao, even if they joined forces. Longao wasn't in a hurry to find Yulin. Just like that, he went on a killing spree in the eastern boundary mountain range. He killed whoever came. My lord, no one can suppress Longao. Yulin's expression was as ugly as it could be. He was already very clear about the battle of the mountain range. It was indeed very difficult for Longao and the half-step Dao validation divine beast to suppress one person and one beast. Attack. Whoever can suppress Longao and the divine beast will be the deputy lord of the eastern boundary mountain range. More than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators behind Yulin were pleasantly surprised. They said yes at the same time, and all of them headed toward the mountain range. In the blink of an eye, they had all disappeared. More than 1,000 half-step Dao validation martial artists. It was easy to imagine what this meant. Under normal circumstances, such a huge army of half-step Dao validation martial artists could easily kill anyone below Dao validation in a matter of minutes. However, the result was different. As soon as more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators set foot on the mountain range, Longao already knew that as their cultivation base broke through smoothly, their primordial spirits would become extremely powerful. It wouldn't be a problem for them to cover 1/3 of the mountain range. Little Pig, your lunch is here. The power required for Little Pig's mutation was too great. Longao had been worried about where to find this huge power, but now Yulin had sent in so many half-step Dao validation cultivators. Boss, if I can devour the primordial spirits of more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators, I can successfully mutate and even become a Dao validation divine beast. Hearing Little Pig's words, Longao was pleasantly surprised. Of course, he knew what it meant for Little Pig to become a Dao validation divine beast. Ha 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 ha. Longao couldn't help but laugh wildly. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. Yulin was really his lucky star. He had sent him such a big gift. More than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators. It seemed that Yulin had also put in a lot of effort this time. Compared to more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators, this was an extremely huge number, even for the eastern boundary mountain range. Yulin wouldn't have thought of Longao's idea even if he was beaten to death. Otherwise, who knew what Yulin would think? More than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators didn't put the target in their eyes at all. According to Master, one man and one beast, one was a chaos reincarnation cultivator, and the other was a half-step Dao validation divine beast. For them, this was simply too easy. The problem now was to see who was lucky enough to lock onto the position of the man and beast first, and then kill them to receive the reward. The eastern boundary mountain range was very huge. Even if more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators entered and released their primordial spirits to cover the area, they couldn't quickly lock onto the position of Longao and Little Pig. But the result? A voice suddenly rang out in the minds of more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation cultivators. Everyone, no need to look, I'm here. P.S. I'm almost done. I really can't bear to part with it. Little Nine's new book, Cultivation Berserk Upgrade, has been released. I hope everyone will go and buy it. Little Nine, thanks. Chapter 33-48. Hearing the voice in their minds, all the half-step Dao validation martial artists were stunned. They didn't know that others had also received it and wanted to claim credit. Every half-step Dao validation martial artist would not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Eastern Border Mountain Range. A huge black stone beach surrounded by towering trees. Thousands of half-step Dao validation martial artists arrived almost at the same time. Half-step Dao validation. Everyone had sensed that their goal was no longer the so-called primal chaos reincarnation, but had successfully broken through and reached the so-called half-step Dao validation. Even so, what could they do? It was just one man and one beast. Half-step Dao validation martial artists were everywhere. One punch from each person could easily destroy one man and one beast. No one moved first because they all wanted to suppress one man and one beast. Once they succeeded, they would be second only to one person. Such a temptation, even a half-step Dao validation martial artist could not resist. Piggy, your lunch is ready. Boss, let's start quickly. I can't wait any longer. Lunch? Hearing the conversation between one man and one beast, everyone was a little confused. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen such arrogant people. They were simply out of their minds. Before anyone could react, Longao took the initiative to strike first. Holding the primal chaos axe, he rushed out like lightning, leaving a bloody mist in his wake. Piggy did not hesitate. He would devour whoever his boss killed. He would not let it go to waste. This was the primordial spirit of a half-step Dao validation martial artist. For him, it was the best tonic. How could he be willing to waste it? In the beginning, no one put the man and beast in their eyes, but as Longao went on a killing spree, everyone found that the other party's strength had reached a shocking level. Almost no half-step Dao validation martial artist could compete with him. Such strength was enough to dominate under Dao validation. Everyone join forces. Join forces? Longao did not care at all. So what if there were more than 1,000 people? As long as he did not face a Dao validation martial artist, he was confident that he could kill everyone here. Longao could not figure out why Yulin did not step into the eastern border mountain range personally and only sent these subordinate. Was there something fishy? Yulin was guarding outside the mountain range. As time passed, Yulin's face became gloomier and uglier. Under normal circumstances, more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation martial artists could kill one person and one beast in a matter of minutes. But now? More than a few minutes, several hours had passed. The man and the beast were still not locked on. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh within the mountain range. More and more black clouds were coming at them, one after another. They were so densely packed that it looked like rain. Damn it! Yulin's body was surrounded by a layer of qi, which directly repelled the corpses outside. In just an hour, the corpses around his body had already piled up like a mountain. Yulin's face became more and more gloomy. He really couldn't figure out how Longao did it. He could actually fight against thousands and kill thousands of half-step Dao validation martial artists. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. However, the truth was right in front of him, so he had no choice but to believe it. Clenching his fists tightly, Yulin stared coldly at the mountain range in front of him. If not for some scruples, he wouldn't have sent so many men. Even if Longao had broken through and could kill more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation martial artists, it was still a fool's dream to fight against him. Just for a little Longao, he would fall into danger. For Yulin, the loss outweighed the gain. It was simply not worth it. Longao, you're just a coward. If you have the ability, come out and fight. I want to see if you can leave here alive. Yulin's voice rolled out and spread throughout the mountain range. Of course, Longao also heard it, but he just sneered and was too lazy to pay attention to Yulin. Now that he had successfully killed more than 1,000 half-step Dao validation martial artists, Piglet had swallowed such a huge amount of primordial spirit. According to Piglet, he could successfully mutate. What kind of concept was this? Boss, I've successfully mutated. Nodding, Longao didn't need Piglet to say anything. He could clearly sense that Piglet was different now. It was obvious that he had successfully mutated. He asked casually, "When did you succeed in Dao validation?" "I've already succeeded." Feeling the huge aura released by Piglet, Longao's face was full of shock. Piglet's breakthrough speed seemed a bit too abnormal. Although he had guessed that Piglet would definitely succeed in Dao validation after swallowing thousands of yuan spirits of half-step Dao validation martial artists, he never expected that Piglet's cultivation speed would be so fast. It was too abnormal. Longao suppressed the surprise in his heart and said with a smile, "Piglet, stabilize your realm first. Wait for me and you. We'll meet Yulin and see how strong this Lord of the Eastern Realm is." Piglet also smiled. Although he had succeeded in confirming his Dao, he had not stabilized it yet. He smiled and said, "Boss, my attack power is not good enough. I can't fight against a Dao confirming martial artist head-on. However, my divine ability can help you. If the opportunity is right, we might be able to kill Yulin." How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? It was just that this possibility was very small. After all, Yulin was not an incompetent person. Unless he and Piglet had heaven-defying luck, it would be too difficult to kill Yulin. Piglet began to stabilize his realm while Longao quietly comprehended the Chaos Dao. Although he had successfully broken through to the half-step Dao validation realm, it was still far from enough for him unless he could succeed in Dao validation. After this period of thinking, if you want a Dao validation, it's better to start with your 9 revolution chaos formula, especially the 4th spirit power of the 7th revolution, reincarnation peak transcendence. Maybe you can use reincarnation peak transcendence to succeed in Dao validation. Reincarnation transcendence, the peak of spirit power. Today, he had already cultivated to the peak of the 4th spirit power, reincarnation transcendence. All along, Longao believed that if he wanted to succeed in Dao validation, he had to break through the 8th revolution. Otherwise, it was impossible. But according to his master, he could use reincarnation transcendence to break through. How could he achieve Dao validation? "Master, what should I do?" According to my guess, if there are no accidents, your 4th spirit power, reincarnation transcendence, is not the true peak. Otherwise, you should be able to succeed in Dao validation. How could Longao not know the meaning of his master's words? It was just that it was a little impossible. He knew his 9-revolution chaos formula too well. P.S. Little Joe's new book Cultivation Berserk Upgrade. I hope everyone will collect it first and vote for it. It's definitely a hot-blooded and exciting book. Chapter 3349. Xianyuan Bubi didn't know much about the 9-revolution chaos mantra. Longao didn't dare to be careless in the slightest, because he knew very well that if it was really as his master said, then it was very likely that he had taken a detour in the past. But at this time, it was obviously not the time to study the 9-revolution chaos mantra. 3 days later, Yulin was very anxious, not knowing what was going on in the mountain range. Losing thousands of half-step Dao validation martial artists at once was indeed a great loss for the Eastern domain. But there was no way. Until now, Yulin still couldn't figure out how Longao had done it. How could he fight thousands alone and kill all the half-step Dao validation martial artists? The more he thought about it, the more he couldn't figure it out. How did the other party do it? He felt very helpless. Longao? Looking at Longao slowly walking out of the mountain range, and the half-step Dao validation divine beast in Longao's arms, Yulin seemed to be in disbelief. Could it be that Longao was not afraid of him? But one had to know. The gap between a half-step Dao validation martial artist and a Dao validation martial artist was too great. It was simply an insurmountable gap. It was like a child competing with an adult man. Who would win and who would lose? There was almost no need to ask. You really broke through to the half-step Dao validation. It seems that you still have some tricks up your sleeve. But Longao, do you think you can leave here alive? Longao smiled and said disdainfully, Yulin, you are the most shameless person I have ever seen. If you have the ability, why don't you enter the mountain range and fight with me? Seeing that the other party didn't speak, Longao became more and more certain that there must be something in the Eastern Domain mountain range that made the other party very afraid. Otherwise, Yulin would not only send his subordinates to enter the mountain range, but not himself. It seems that you are just really a cowardly turtle. Anger. Endless anger. But so what if he was angry? He couldn't enter the mountain range at all. If it was any other place, even the other 4 domains, he could easily destroy it. Only this place. Longao, you did it on purpose. So what if I did it on purpose? All of a sudden, Longao's body dashed out quickly. Before he arrived, the chaos axe in his hand had already struck out fiercely, accompanied by the god-slaying finger. Yulin was stunned at first, then his face was filled with anger. He never thought that Longao would take the initiative to attack him. This was simply humiliating him. Courting death, Yulin directly slashed towards Longao, and a series of spatial collapses appeared. Boom, boom, boom. Although Longao was only at half-step Dao validation, he could still cause the space to collapse. The collapsing space around him started to collide with each other. The entire heaven and earth trembled. The battle between the 2 super experts was enough to make the heaven and earth change color. If they didn't fight, they wouldn't know. Yulin had not expected that the other party's strength would be so strong. It was no wonder that he could kill thousands of half-step Dao-confirming cultivators so easily. Even so, Yulin still didn't want to believe that a little half-step Dao validation cultivator could compete with him head-on. It was complete nonsense. If he hadn't experienced it himself, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. However, the difference between a half-step Dao confirming cultivator and a half-step Dao confirming cultivator was indeed too great. Longao gradually began to be unable to resist. At this moment, Longao finally knew that his strength was still a distance away from a true Dao confirming cultivator, but he was still very satisfied. Looking at the entire Chaos Realm, including the Nether Realm, there was no one who could compete with a Dao confirming cultivator with the strength of a half-step Dao confirming cultivator. Even some powerful half-step Tao-confirming cultivators could only withstand 3 moves at most. But Longao? Not to mention 1 or 3 moves, he had already exchanged dozens of moves. Although he couldn't resist at first, such a record was enough to show disdain for the entire Chaos realm. Now Yulin was really afraid. Longao was only a half-step Tao vindication martial artist, yet he could compete with him. If one day Longao really vindicated his Tao and became a Tao vindication martial artist, then even he would not be the opponent of the other party. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent future troubles. Such a terrifying person must be beheaded as soon as possible. Otherwise, once Longao was given enough time to develop, it would be somewhat impossible to make a move again. Thinking of this, Yulin's attacks became more and more frantic and terrifying. How could Longao not understand Yulin's intention? At this moment, the little pig in Longao's arms suddenly let out a long roar, and the entire space around them was frozen. Except for Longao, even Yulin was forcibly frozen. Whether it was time or space, everything was frozen. Not to mention Yulin, even Longao was completely stunned. Of course, he knew that this magical ability of the little pig was very heaven-defying. It was precisely this roar of the little pig that allowed him to successfully kill 2 half-step Tao-confirming cultivators. Originally, he was going to use the little pig's magical ability to see if he could compete with Yulin, but he never expected that the little pig's magical ability was so heaven-defying that it directly froze everything around them, including Yulin. In any case, Yulin was still a Tao-confirming cultivator. "Boss, my magical ability can only last for 3 seconds. You have to hurry up and make a move." There was no need for the little pig to remind him. The primal chaos axe in Longao's hand had already slashed towards Yulin. Even if the other party was a Tao-confirming cultivator, Longao was confident that he could kill him. But the result? 3 seconds was too short for Yulin. Longao couldn't do it at all. In just 3 seconds, he could successfully kill Yulin. If he could increase it to 6 or 9 seconds, then it would be possible to do it. In the end, it was still Longao's strength that was not enough. If he could become a Tao-confirming cultivator, not to mention 3 seconds, even 2 seconds would be enough to easily kill Yulin. In this case, it was completely imaginable how heaven-defying the little pig's magical ability was. Longao did not continue to resist. He turned around and quickly disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared into the mountain range. Staring at the disappearing figure in the distance, Yulin shuddered. He knew what had just happened 10,000 times better than anyone else. Fortunately, Longao's strength could not threaten him. If it was a Tao-confirming cultivator of the same level, there was no need to think too much. They could easily kill him. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. Yulin said in horror, "What is the origin of the divine beast beside Longao? It can freeze the surrounding space. A Tao-confirming divine beast. What kind of adventure did they encounter that they could advance at the same time?" Not only had Longao's cultivation base successfully broken through to the half-step Tao validation martial artist, but even this divine beast had also crossed the last step and successfully broken through from the half-step Tao validation divine beast to the Tao validation divine beast. Chapter 3350. In the eastern border mountain range, Longao stared at Piglet in front of him in a daze. Until now, he still hadn't reacted. Piglet chuckled and said, "Boss, you have to know that my grandparents and parents are all Tao-proving divine beasts. I'm also the strongest mutated divine beast. This is not the only mystique I have. I have many other mystiques. The only flaw is that I am unable to attack." How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? The heavens were fair. If Piglet could attack, then no one in the chaotic world would be his match. It was terrifying. Piglet, wait until I succeed in my cultivation, then I'll borrow your powers. Ha ha! Dao proving invincible. When Xianyuan Bubi heard about Piglet's powers, he was completely dumbfounded. He had never seen such a heaven-defying divine beast before. He had never even heard of it. Master, look at Piglet's mutation. Will there be any problems in the future? No matter what level a mutated divine beast was, it wasn't a foolproof existence. Especially for a mutated divine beast like Piglet, what if there were any problems in the future? Longao definitely didn't want Piglet to have any trouble. There shouldn't be any problems. Ao, you must have gotten a great deal. Based on my observation, this divine beast is truly heaven-defying. Who knows, he might even become a supremacy in the future. Supremacy? Longao knew very little about what would happen after Dao Proving Realm. He had never asked before, but now that he had successfully broken through to the half-step Dao Proving Realm, he would succeed at any time. Hence, Master, I want to know what will happen after Dao Proving Realm. Xianyuan Bubi wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew what his disciple meant. He thought for a while and said, Ao, now is not the time for you to know. When you truly reach Dao Proving Realm, I'll tell you everything. He was a little surprised. Longao didn't expect that with his current strength, his master wouldn't be willing to tell him. But since his master had already said so, he didn't continue asking. Longao knew very well. If his master wanted to tell him, he didn't need to ask. He believed that his master would tell him. If his master was not willing to tell him, then no matter how he asked, his master would not tell him. Since that was the case, why should he waste his time? Ao, there is only one thing you need to do now. Dao affirmation. Longao knew what he should do even without his master telling him. Only by attaining the Dao could one be considered to have truly set foot on the peak of the martial Dao. Countless chaotic martial artists dreamed of attaining the Dao. But what was the result? Looking at the entire chaos realm, how many people could successfully validate their Dao? Every martial artist who succeeded in corroborating their Dao was an incomparably powerful existence. Whether it was talent or potential, they were all one in a million existences. Ao, do you know why the Yulin outside doesn't dare to step into the mountain range? Why? This was also the reason why Longao wanted to know. After so many days, Yulin did not dare to come in at all. If one were to say that there was nothing fishy going on, even if one beat him to death, he would not believe it. Since Master said so, could it be that Master knew something was amiss? Thinking of this, Longao couldn't wait to ask. Longao was very afraid of Yulin. Compared to Yulin and Emoing, Yulin was a genuine Dao affirmation martial artist. He could directly contend with a Dao affirmation martial artist, but Yulin could leave the nether realm at will. This was what he was really afraid of. Killing Yulin was a must. In the eastern boundary mountain range, there is a Dao affirmation divine beast. So that's how it is. Longao finally understood what his master meant. He had already guessed that Yulin was afraid of the Dao affirmation divine beast in the mountain range. However, he was still very curious. Compared to Yulin, who was also a Dao affirmation martial artist, why was he so afraid of a Dao affirmation divine beast? It seemed that it was just as he had guessed. Even among Dao affirmation martial artists there was a difference in strength. In other words, the Dao affirmation divine beast in the mountain range seemed to be stronger than Yulin. Master, can you sense the location of this Dao affirmation divine beast? There's no need to sense it. The moment you entered the mountain range, you were already locked on by the other party. It's just that you didn't notice it, so you have to be careful. The strength of this Dao affirmation divine beast is far above Yulin. It's easy for him to kill you. Longao was also shocked. It seemed that this Dao affirmation divine beast was really powerful. At least he didn't find anything wrong. Piglet, Can you lock on the location of this Tao affirmation divine beast? Longao didn't like this situation very much. If the other party really attacked, he wouldn't even have the chance to run. Therefore, it was better to know the other party's location first. In this way, at least he would know. Piglet smiled and said, "Of course I can lock on, but the other party is too strong. As long as we don't provoke him, he won't take the initiative to deal with us, so I didn't tell you." He was speechless. Whether it was Piglet or his master, they already knew the existence of the other party, but he didn't know. It seemed that it was still his own strength. If he could succeed in Tao affirmation, then it would be another concept. If that's the case, then it's better that we don't provoke him. Longao obviously knew the current situation. He was quite nice to him. Just like what Piglet said, since the other party didn't provoke him, he didn't have anything better to do. Why would he provoke him for no reason? What he had to do now was to think about how to deal with Yulin outside. Although he could compete with Yulin head-on, there was still a gap between his strength and Yulin's. Even with the help of Piglet's magical power, it was still impossible to kill Yulin. However, the only thing he could be sure of was that once he and Piglet joined forces, even a Tao affirmation martial artist wouldn't be able to kill him. At this time, he could really ignore everyone. "Boss, I need to devour a lot of spirit. When my strength goes further, then my magical power can be maintained for 6 seconds from 3 seconds. In that case, even you can seriously injure a Tao affirmation martial artist." Longao was overjoyed. Of course, he knew what Piglet meant. 3 seconds and 6 seconds were two different concepts. The two couldn't be compared. Of course, he knew what it meant to be able to freeze space for 6 seconds. It was simply too heaven-defying. As Piglet said, if he could freeze space for 6 seconds, then even if his cultivation couldn't break through to Tao affirmation martial artist, he could seriously injure a half-step Tao affirmation martial artist. Chapter 33:51. However, Piggy was no longer the same as before. A simple half-step primordial spirit realm was no longer enough to satisfy Piggy's appetite. As for the primordial spirit realm, he was still unable to obtain it. Piggy's heaven-defying ability had completely stunned Yulin. Even if Yulin was beaten to death, he would never have thought that this divine beast would be so heaven-defying. If he could obtain this heaven-defying divine beast, then in the Tao validation, who would be his opponent? The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. The more he thought about it, the more excited he became. If it was any other place, Yulin still had the confidence to kill Longao and obtain Piggy. But now a man and a beast were hiding in the mountain range, and he had his scruples and was unable to enter the mountain range. Everything was nonsense. He could not even enter the mountain range. How could he deal with a man and a beast? He was very depressed. Fight it out? Yulin knew very well that once he rashly entered the mountain range, not to mention whether he could deal with a man and a beast, he alone could not guarantee that he could escape unscathed. When he thought of the person in the mountain range, Yulin had a deep fear. Back then, he thought that he could dominate the world after becoming a Tao validation martial artist, but he never thought that he would be defeated so tragically the moment he stepped into the mountain range. The Eastern Boundary Mountain Range Lord had once told him that no matter who ruled the Eastern Boundary Mountain Range, he was not allowed to interfere with the Eastern Boundary Mountain Range or even step into it. Once discovered, he would be killed without mercy. It was also because of this that for so many years, Yulin did not dare to casually step into the Eastern Boundary Mountain Range. It was better to be safe than sorry. If he was really killed, he would not even have the chance to regret it. But at this moment, Yulin wanted to fight it out. He did not care about Longao's life at all. Even if Longao became stronger in the future, he would not be able to deal with Longao. At most, he would just leave. The chaotic realm was so big, it would not be easy for Longao to lock onto him. What Yu Lin really cared about was the Tao validation divine beast in Longao's arms. It was too heaven-defying. He had never seen such a heaven-defying Tao validation divine beast, and he could not wait to get it. Once he obtained this divine beast, so what if Longao became a Tao validation? At that time, even if he had to face the Mountain Lord, he would be able to kill him. To freeze space for 3 seconds, even a Tao-confirming martial artist could freeze space for 3 seconds. What kind of concept was this? The more he thought about it, the more he defied the heavens. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to obtain this divine beast. He took a deep breath. Skyfiend. He still didn't dare to step into the mountain range, but Yu Lin directly communicated with his spiritual sense. A short while later. Yu Lin, what are you doing? Heavenly demon, although we had an agreement that I was not allowed to take a single step into the mountain range, there is someone who dares to disobey me today. I want to enter the mountain range and kill him. I hope you can agree to my request. What does that have to do with me? Yu Lin's expression changed. He was afraid that the other party would not allow him to enter the mountain range. If that was the case, even he would not be able to do anything about it. The world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was the most powerful existence among the divine beasts. Even if the 5 divine beasts of the nether realm gathered together, it was still unknown whether they could kill the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger, let alone himself. From this, one could imagine how powerful the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was. Heavenly demon, I can pay any price. No. Hearing the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger rejecting him, Yu Lin was stunned. He still couldn't understand why the other party would not agree to his request even though he had already said so. One should know. After all, he was the lord of the East region and also a divine beasts of the nether realm. As long as the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger wasn't stupid, he believed that the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger would agree to his request. Could it be that the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger already knew about this and wanted him to get the divine beast of the nether realm? If that was the case, things would be more troublesome. What do you want for you to agree to my request? Sacrifice yourself and become my slave. *CK, Yu Lin cursed in his heart. Of course, Yu Lin knew what sacrifice meant. He also knew what being a slave meant. Once he agreed to it, even if he could kill Longao and get the divine beast of the nether realm, what was the point? Yu Lin had never expected that the other party would give him such a shameless condition. He was simply taking advantage of the situation. However, he was clear that if he didn't agree to it, he wouldn't be able to do what he wanted to do. Once he stepped into the mountain range, he would definitely be killed by the other party. How should he choose? In the mountain range, Boss Yu Lin is communicating with the primordial spirit of the nether realm. This so-called god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger only has one condition, which is for Yu Lin to sacrifice himself and become a slave. Only then will it let Yu Lin enter the mountain range to deal with us. Piglet could actually receive other people's spiritual awareness voice transmissions. If it was an ordinary divine beasts, it would be fine. However, the other party was Yu Lin and the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger. Both of them were extremely powerful existences. Piglet was shocked. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have thought of it even if he was beaten to death. Hearing Piglet's words, Longao smiled. Asking Yu Lin to sacrifice himself and become the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger's slave. As long as there were no accidents, Yu Lin wouldn't agree even if he was beaten to death. Not to mention Yu Lin, even the others wouldn't agree. As the lord of the nether realm's 5 great regions, Yu Lin's strength and status were obvious. How could he become someone else's slave? This was simply nonsense. There was no need to guess at all. Longao could be sure that Yulin would definitely not agree. In this case, with the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger guarding the mountain range, Yulin wouldn't dare to rashly step into the mountain range. Just as Longao had guessed, Yulin wouldn't agree to sacrifice himself and become a slave. This was simply impossible. However, he was unwilling to give up just like that. What should he do? Force his way in? Definitely not. After all, the god-destroying heavenly demonic tiger's strength was obvious. With his strength alone, he was far from being its opponent. If he forced his way in, it wouldn't bode well for him. Guard here all the time? That was even more nonsense. After all, Longao was no longer the same as before. His cultivation had successfully broken through to the half-step doctrine realm. No one knew when Longao would break through. Once he succeeded in the doctrine realm, then with Longao's strength and the divine beast doctrine's divine ability, it wouldn't be impossible for him to kill himself. It would be unrealistic to say that he wasn't afraid. Especially after witnessing the other party's divine ability with his own eyes. Although it was only for a short 3 seconds, once Longao's cultivation broke through to the doctrine realm, then the threat to himself would be too great. He had to kill Longao as soon as possible and seize this divine beast doctrine realm. He had to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Chapter 33:52. Both parties were in a stalemate. Longao wasn't in a hurry to leave the mountain range. Since he had time, he started to cultivate with Piglet. On the other hand, Yulin. With the threat of the god-destroying demonic tiger, Yulin didn't dare to enter the mountain range. In the mountain range, according to his master, he hadn't reached the peak of the 7th transformation. However, he was the one who created the 9 transformation chaos mantra. No one knew it better than him. 4 sacred powers. The 4th sacred power, reincarnation peak transcendence. He had indeed reached it. If reincarnation peak transcendence wasn't the peak, then what was? Seems like the 9 transformation chaos mantra isn't perfect yet. Longao was clear that the 9 transformation chaos mantra that he created wasn't perfect yet. Maybe it was like what his master said. The reason why he couldn't prove his Tao was because of the flaw in the 9 transformation chaos mantra. In the following time, Longao wholeheartedly devoted himself to perfecting the cultivation method. Longao didn't even think about the 8th and 9th transformation. He just wanted to perfect the 7th transformation. The 7th transformation, reincarnation transcendence. What was above reincarnation transcendence? How could it be so easy to perfect the mantra? In the distance, Mo Ying's figure appeared. His injuries were almost healed. He didn't dare to continue staying in Thunder City. He already knew how strong Longao was. However, Mo Ying didn't give up. Since he dared to kill him, he wouldn't give up until he killed him. To deal with Longao, he had to prove his Tao. However, proving his Tao was too difficult. Helplessly, Mo Ying came to the east border mountain range, hoping to experience life and death to see if he could find a chance to break through and prove his Tao. Yulin was in hiding. He was thinking of ways to enter the mountain range. So, Mo Ying didn't see Yulin at all. He just entered the mountain range like a fool. If Mo Ying knew that Longao was in the east border mountain range, he wouldn't enter even if he was beaten to death. In the mountain range, "Boss, your enemy is here." He wasn't surprised. Longao knew how strong Piglet was. He couldn't be described as sick. However, the stronger Piglet was, the better it was for him. Who is it? In the Nether Realm, there were not many people who could make him worry. Other than Yulin, there seemed to be only Mo Ying. Could it be the demon shadow? "Boss, looks like you've already guessed it." "That's right, it's him." Longao was clearly stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that Mo Ying would come to the eastern boundary mountain range. Truly, there was a path to heaven, but you didn't take it. Instead, you barged into hell. With his cultivation base successfully breaking through to the half-step Dao validation realm, even without Piglet's help, Longao had full confidence that he would be able to kill Moing. Originally, he wanted to find a way to lock onto Moing. After all, he wanted to completely eliminate this trouble. It was just that the nether realm was simply too vast. If the demonic figure were to hide on purpose, not to mention killing him, it would be unknown if he could even lock on to him. But now it was all good. He did not expect that the demonic figure would take the initiative to come knocking on his door. Piggy, can you lock onto the enemy's exact location? No problem. After entering the mountain range, Moing was prepared to find a half-step Dao validation divine beast and subdue it first. Although it was very dangerous, if he could succeed, it would be very helpful to his strength. Right at this moment, looking at the young man who suddenly appeared in front of him and the divine beast in the young man's arms, Mo Ying's face completely changed. Longao, it turned out to be Longao. He really couldn't figure out why Longao would appear here. Could it be that Longao had been following him all this time? Unless that was the case, why else would he meet him here? Moing, long time no see. I trust you have been well since we last met. I seem to remember that you wanted to kill me. Now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Why don't you kill me now? Don't worry, I will never run away. Looking at the calm face of Longao, Yulin didn't know why, but his heart throbbed fiercely. The calmer the other party appeared, the less confidence he had. Longao, the grudges between you and me are now written off. I can also let bygones be bygones for killing my son. How about it? He was afraid. Moing really didn't dare to make a move, because when he thought that Longao could kill 19 half-step Dao validation martial artists in a row, he didn't have any thoughts of attacking. What Moing didn't know was that Longao could confront Dao validation martial artists head-on, and he even had the heaven-defying Piglet. Although Piglet couldn't attack, he could freeze space. Although it was only for 3 seconds, it was enough to kill any half-step Dao validation martial artist. Not to mention, with Longao's current strength, he didn't need Piglet's help to easily destroy Moing. This was Longao's strength. It could be said that Longao was the most powerful existence under Dao validation. It was no exaggeration to call him the #1 person under Dao validation. Are you afraid? Although he was indeed afraid in his heart, how could Moing admit it? He sneered and said, Longao, I admit that your growth is indeed too fast. I don't want to continue being your enemy. No. Longao directly refused without even thinking about it. Although Moing was now saying that the grudges between them were written off, Longao could be sure that once Mo Ying's cultivation succeeded, he would definitely not hesitate to deal with him. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Longao wouldn't leave any trouble for himself. Because of this, killing Moing was a must. Hearing Longao's words, Mo Ying's face finally changed and he said coldly, Longao, don't think that you can deal with me just because you're an array formation master and can kill half-step Dao validation martial artist. Even if I can't kill you, I can still take you down with me. Ha 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 ha. Longao looked up to the sky and laughed. His laughter was full of endless ridicule and contempt. Looking at the other party constantly laughing at him, Mo Ying's face was gloomy and as ugly as it could be. With just you? You want to take me down with you? As soon as he finished speaking, Longao held the Chaos Axe in his hand and directly slashed at Moing. He also used the God-slaying finger. The surrounding space began to collapse. With such a terrifying attack, Yulin instantly knew that he was no match for the other party. If this battle continued, he would undoubtedly die. Even if he had to take him down with him, he couldn't do it? Of course, Moing didn't believe it. Unless it was a last resort, he certainly didn't want to take Lin Ming down with him. But in this case, did he have any other choice? Chapter 33:53. The demon shadow felt desperate. At this moment, he finally knew why Longao was so confident. Among the half-step Tao validation martial artists, Longao was indeed too strong. He also did not expect that Longao would suddenly break through to the half-step Tao validation martial artist realm. This time, he was really dead. Even so, the demon shadow would not give up and began to self-destruct his spirit. It must be known that the self-destruction of a half-step Tao validation martial artist's spirit was very terrifying. If it were anyone else, facing the self-destruction of a half-step Tao validation martial artist, even if they did not die, they would be seriously injured. But Longao's situation was different. No one was willing to self-destruct their spirit unless it was a last resort. After all, once the spirit self-destructed, there was no reincarnation and it could be considered a true and complete disappearance. Just ask, how many people were willing to accept this kind of consequence? Piggy? Boss, I understand. Piggy suddenly let out a long howl. The demon shadow, who was still preparing to self-destruct his spirit and destroy Longao, was instantly filled with shock and disbelief. Everything around him was frozen, including the self-destruction of his spirit. The demon shadow did not know what had happened, and it was precisely because he did not know that he was completely frightened. Everything was frozen. This kind of thing seemed to be impossible even for Tao validation martial artists. How did the divine beast in Longao's arms do it? I choose to sentence you to death. No. With endless unwillingness and anger, the demon shadow's body was kicked into the space collapse by Longao. If his cultivation did not break through, once he entered the space collapse, he would undoubtedly die. Although Piggy's magical power could only last for 3 seconds, for the demon shadow, it was more than enough. From beginning to end, the demon shadow did not even have a chance to fight back. After killing the demon shadow, Longao also breathed a sigh of relief. Boss, what should we do now? How could Longao not know what Piggy meant? He thought about it. Wait a moment, I need to complete the 7th revolution. Once I've confirmed my Tao, even Yu Lin won't be our match. Longao did not have the slightest doubt about this, because he knew very well that once he had proven his Tao, he would not be afraid even if he had to face 5 realm lords at the same time, let alone one person. Piglet smiled. Longao smiled as well. With the deterrence of the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger, Yu Lin did not dare to step into the mountain range. To them, they could focus on perfecting their cultivation technique. Other than perfecting the cultivation technique, Longao and Piglet were still killing the divine beasts in the mountain range. After all, Piglet needed to devour a huge amount of energy in order to continue increasing the power of his divine ability. Longao was looking forward to being able to freeze everything. If Piglet's supernatural power could freeze space for more than 6 seconds, he knew what that meant. If that was the case, even though his cultivation base had yet to reach the Tao confirmation realm, Longao was confident that he could smoothly kill Yu Lin after being frozen for more than 6 seconds. This was the strength of Piglet, the heaven-defying power of his divine ability. Because of this, Longao was constantly killing divine beasts. Even if he could not obtain the primordial spirit of a divine beast, he could still try to obtain the primordial spirit of a half-step Tao confirmation divine beast or other divine beast. On the 3rd day, kid, that's enough. Are you only satisfied after you destroy all the divine beasts in my mountain range? Just when Longao and Piglet were unceasingly hunting mythological beasts, a spiritual sense transmission was suddenly transmitted into their minds. Both of them shuddered. Of course, they knew who was the one who transmitted the spiritual sense transmission to them. If there was no accident, it should be the most powerful existence of this mountain range, the world-exterminating demonic tiger. The reason why Yulin did not dare to step into the mountain range was because he was afraid of this divine beast. According to Piglet and his master, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was very powerful and had almost reached the peak of the Tao confirmation realm. Not to mention Yulin, even if all 5 realm lords were to come together, they might not be able to kill the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger. From this, one could imagine how powerful the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was. "Senior, I don't know where you are. Follow my aura. You will find me." Nodding his head, Longao carried Piglet and followed a powerful aura towards the northeast direction. About 10 minutes later, in a huge cave, there was a huge tiger inside. It was completely black and gave people a very frightening feeling. This was the lord of the eastern border mountain range, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger. "Senior." Nodding his head, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger looked coldly at the man and beast in front of it. Before Longao could speak, it said, "I need to devour your divine beast's body and seize his primordial spirit. But don't worry, as your reward, I will do my best to help you reach the Tao confirmation realm and become a Tao confirmation realm martial artist." The apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was severely injured. It would take a long time for it to recover completely. If it was an ordinary man and beast, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger wouldn't interfere at all. Compared to the current Yulin, if he knew about its situation, it was obvious what the outcome would be. However, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger never expected that this mysterious mutated divine beast would have such a powerful divine ability. If it could seize Piglet's primordial spirit, then it would be able to master this divine ability. For it, this was the best thing that could happen. Longao wasn't surprised at all. Although he didn't expect that the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was severely injured, he thought that no matter who it was, they would definitely want to take Piglet's primordial spirit for themselves after seeing such a heaven-defying divine ability. Longao snorted and said coldly, "I don't need you to interfere in my Tao confirmation realm. Who do you think you are? Not to mention the current you, even if you were at your peak, I wouldn't be afraid of you. If you want to seize Piglet's primordial spirit, you will have to step over my dead body." Piglet didn't speak. He just stared at Big Brother in front of him. After all, not everyone could face such a powerful existence so easily. Even if the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was severely injured, its strength was still inferior. If Big Brother could succeed in his Tao confirmation realm, then there might be a chance. However, there was no need to even think about it now. It was almost impossible. How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? He gently stroked Piglet's fur to convey his meaning very clearly. They would live and die together and never leave each other. The apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger didn't seem to have expected that the other party would actually reject it. However, the other party was just a small half-step Tao confirmation realm martial artist. Although it was severely injured, it wasn't something that a small half-step Tao confirmation realm martial artist could contend against. "Do you know the consequences of rejecting me?" "Know your sister." He was too lazy to speak any more nonsense. In any case, a battle was inevitable. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to speak any more nonsense. Even if it was seriously injured, it would not put a little half-step Tao validation martial artist in its eyes. So what if the other party could use a martial skill to break through space? In front of him, the other party didn't even have the slightest chance. "Boss, you go first." How could Longao not know what Piglet meant? He smiled and said, "Piglet, who do you think I am? If we're leaving, we'll leave together. At worst, we'll die together." Piglet was very touched. If it were anyone else, once they had the chance to leave, He believed that they would choose to leave without hesitation. Only he, the boss, did not. However, the current situation was very unfavorable for them. It was too difficult to leave this place alive. You still don't want to? Longao's face was very gloomy as he stared at the giant tiger in front of him. He could not sit still and wait for his death. He chose to take the initiative to attack. Before he arrived, his terrifying power had already arrived. From the beginning, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger did not put him in its eyes. It roared. This time, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger did not show any mercy. Since the other party was not willing to surrender, it was useless to keep him alive. The world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger only needed to devour divine beasts. It did not care about Longao's life at all. The chaotic axe in Longao's hand was continuous. At this moment, an extremely terrifying power suddenly appeared in the chaotic axe. It was the axe soul that had merged with the chaotic axe. Axe soul? Not knowing why, Longao felt that the so-called axe soul was not simple. Especially now, the axe soul suddenly appeared. Could it be that the axe soul could deal with the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger? Initially, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was full of confidence and did not put the other party in its eyes. However, when it felt the terrifying power covering its body, its face changed. It did not expect the other party to be able to release such a terrifying power. Courting death, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger did not dare to fight force with force. It immediately turned around and left. However, the axe soul had already covered the other party and started to suppress it. Kacha, kacha. The world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was suppressed to the point that it did not dare to move. Longao was completely dumbfounded. He did not expect the axe soul in the chaotic axe to be so powerful. If he did not see it with his own eyes, he would not believe it. Boss, what is going on? Longao shook his head and said helplessly, I don't know. It's not like I don't know much about the axe spirit. Previously, I sensed that the primal chaos axe had not completely merged with the axe spirit. Now, it seems that this is indeed the case. Longao was clear that if the chaotic axe could merge with the axe soul, the power of the chaotic axe would increase by a few levels. However, it was still unknown how to merge with the axe soul. Luckily, it did not merge with the axe soul. Otherwise, if the axe soul did not appear suddenly, it would be hard for him and Piglet to leave this place alive. After the axe soul covered the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger, it started to suppress and imprison it. From the beginning to the end, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger did not expect that it would be suppressed by this mysterious power. So what if it was suppressed? He wasn't worried in the slightest. However, this force was actually beginning to confine and even seal it. If this continued, it was obvious what would happen. It was unwilling. Of course, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger did not want to be imprisoned. Even if it was going to die, it wanted to drag two people down with it. However, when the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was about to explode its primordial spirit, it was terrified to find that it could not do so. Ah! It roared in fear. If it had known that this would be the result, it would not have done this even if it was beaten to death. It had suffered a double loss. Not only did it fail to seize the axe soul, it might even be subdued. What should it do? At this moment, the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was terrified. However, at this moment, Longao came to the front of the world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger. He looked at it coldly and said, "Subdue or die." Longao's meaning was already very clear. He had never thought that the power of the axe soul would be so strong that it could actually suppress the world-exterminating heavenly demonic tiger. His heart was very pleasantly surprised. If he could subdue the world-exterminating heavenly demonic tiger, then for him, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Chapter 33:55. Surrender? Die? The world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger's face was gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. Whether it was surrender or death, it wasn't what it wanted to see. As an invincible existence among the divine beasts, it had never faced such a situation. It was simply a disgrace. The world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger definitely didn't want to die. Not to mention it, no one would want to die. Its face changed again and again. Can you give me a way to live? No. Such a rare opportunity, how could Longao choose to give it up so easily? In his heart, he was more willing to surrender to the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger than to kill it. All right, I choose to surrender to you. Gritting its teeth, the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger finally agreed to surrender. If it didn't want to die, it had to surrender. Sacrifice. Even if there were 10,000 unwillingness in its heart, in a situation like that, the world-extermination heavenly demonic tiger still chose to sacrifice itself. Only at that moment did Longao truly breathe a sigh of relief. Moreover, he was extremely pleasantly surprised and excited. This was the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger. Longao knew clearly what it meant to surrender to him. Heavenly demonic tiger, with your current strength, can you kill Yulin? This was what Longao was most concerned about. If the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger was at its peak, it would definitely be easy to kill Yulin. However, the current situation was different. How could the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger not know what Longao meant? It said respectfully, "Master, if I was at my peak, there would definitely be no problem. However, due to some reason, I am now severely injured, so I can't kill Yulin for the time being." Approximately how long? 3,000 to 5,000 years. His heart sank. What he was afraid of really happened. He originally thought that he could kill Yulin smoothly after subduing the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger. However, he never thought that the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger was already severely injured and couldn't kill a Tao-proving realm martial artist. Let's go. He was helpless. However, there was no other way. Fortunately, he had successfully subdued the world-devastating heavenly demonic tiger. When it completely recovered, killing Yulin would be a matter of minutes. At this moment, Piglet smiled and said, "Heavenly demonic tiger, from now on I'm your big brother. If you call me big brother, your second brother." Yes. The world-destroying heavenly demonic tiger was completely depressed. He had no choice. No matter how unwilling he was, he could only do so. "Yulin, get out of the mountain range. I'll give you 3 minutes. Otherwise I'll kill you." Just as Yulin was thinking about how to enter the mountain range to deal with Longao, suddenly, the voice of the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger resounded in the surroundings. His expression changed instantly. He didn't know what the tiger was trying to do. According to their previous agreement, as long as he didn't step into the mountain range, the tiger would not attack him. But now? Heavenly demonic tiger, what do you mean? Could it be that you want to intervene in this matter? I didn't set foot in the mountain range. Yulin could not figure out why the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger would interfere in this matter without any rhyme or reason. Could it be that the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger had also taken a fancy to Longao and that chaotic divine beast? If that was the case, then this matter would be troublesome. Yulin didn't know that the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger was injured. For so many years, even if he became the lord of the eastern region, he didn't dare to go against the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger. After all, the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger's strength was there for all to see. Not to mention him alone, even if the 5 lords of the eastern region joined forces, they might not be a match for the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger. Get out. Yulin's expression became gloomy. He gritted his teeth. He didn't know what the tiger was trying to do. If the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger really attacked, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret. In desperation, Yulin turned around and left quickly. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared without a trace. As soon as Yulin disappeared, Longao and the other two appeared. They looked coldly at Yulin, who had already left. Longao sneered and said, "The day I attain Tao will be the day I destroy you." Turning around, Longao asked, "Do you really know the other exits to leave the Netherrealm?" Longao was pleasantly surprised because according to Yulin, there were only 5 exits to the Chaos Realm in the entire Netherworld. They were located in the 5 major realms. With his current strength, it was not an easy task to seize the exit and leave the Netherworld. If he took the risk to seize the exits by force, it wouldn't be worth it. If the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger really knew the other exits, it would be the best thing for him. It would be best if he could leave smoothly without taking any risk. The heavenly demonic tiger smiled and said, "Boss, the Nether Realm is the same as the Chaos Realm. There are at least 10 exits. Just in the eastern region, there are 2 exits. One is controlled by Yulin and the other is in the mountains." "I see. Can I leave this place?" Nodding, the heavenly demonic tiger said, "Yes, but boss, I can't leave with you. This is the most suitable place for me to cultivate. If I enter the Chaos Realm, my recovery will be slower. I'm afraid it will take more than 10,000 years. Longao understood what the apocalyptic heavenly demonic tiger meant. He didn't plan to take the heavenly demonic tiger with him. If the heavenly demonic tiger was in its prime, it would be fine. But now, the heavenly demonic tiger was severely injured. Even if it followed him back to the Chaos Realm, it wouldn't be able to help him. In that case, there was no need to take the heavenly demonic tiger with him. It would be better to let the heavenly demonic tiger stay in the mountains to cultivate. When the heavenly demonic tiger fully recovered, it would be able to help him better. "You stay here. I'll be back in 1,000 years or 3,000 years. Okay." Coming to the deepest part of the mountains, looking at the black vortex in front of them, the heavenly demonic tiger said, "Boss, just remember these coordinates. When you enter, just communicate with me and I'll be able to bring you back." Nodding, Longao didn't continue to stay. Ever since he entered the Nether Realm, he wanted to return to the Chaos Realm all the time. No matter what, he had to solve his own troubles first. Then, he could rest easy. Entering the black vortex, Longao disappeared in the mountains with Piglet in the next second. In the blink of an eye, they had returned to the Chaos Realm. Looking at the familiar surroundings, Longao smiled. No matter how good the Nether Realm was, it was still not as good as the Chaos Realm. "Boss, this is the Chaos Realm?" It was Piglet's first time entering the Chaos Realm. He was not familiar with the Chaos Realm at all. After all, he was subdued by Longao when he entered the Nether Realm. He was very curious about the Chaos Realm. Longao was in a good mood. He began to explain everything about the Chaos Realm, including his enemies. Chapter 3356. Chaos World. After Longao left the underworld and returned to the Chaos World, he could start communicating with his Chaos Dantian. Within his Chaos Dantian, Ao the evil ancestor, has realized that your 4th mystic power, reincarnation transcendence, is not the true pinnacle. Hearing his master's words, Longao was elated. "Evil ancestor, you really know?" Longao asked impatiently. He was looking forward to knowing the true pinnacle of reincarnation. If it wasn't transcendence, then what was it? Even though the 9 Revolutions Chaos Mantra wasn't a skill that he had created himself, it wasn't an easy task to perfect it. If he could find out, it would be beneficial for him to perfect his skill. The evil ancestor nodded. "Longao, the pinnacle of reincarnation isn't transcendence, but breaking reincarnation. Breaking reincarnation? What did that mean? The evil ancestor continued, the true Tao validation is actually breaking reincarnation. As long as there aren't any special accidents, it's hard for us so-called Tao validation warriors to fall. We can be considered as immortal in a sense. Xianyuan Bubi continued, only when you break reincarnation will you reach the pinnacle of reincarnation. At that time, you will also be able to truly validate your Tao. So that was the case. Longao wasn't a fool. How could he not understand what the two of them were saying? Breaking reincarnation seemed like he had taken a wrong path previously. But thinking about it, it was understandable. No matter what, he hadn't succeeded in validating his Tao. Therefore, he hadn't thought of breaking reincarnation. Talking about it was one thing, but doing it was another. How should he break reincarnation? Longao knew that the evil ancestor was of great help to him for him to think of this. As for how to break reincarnation, that was his problem. Xianyuan Bubi and the evil ancestor looked at each other. Neither of them said anything more. After all, they couldn't help much even if they wanted to. Boss, why don't you let us help you? Blackie, you know how to break reincarnation? Longao was surprised. Blackie had 10 Chaos Spiritual Beasts. Even though he had already opened the Chaos Spiritual Beast diagram, the 10 Chaos Spiritual Beasts were only half-step Tao validation spiritual beasts. If they couldn't even truly validate their Tao, how could they help him? It seemed a little impossible. Blackie smiled and said, Boss, it's impossible to break the cycle of reincarnation. However, as long as you enter the diagram of the divine beasts of chaos, we can let you experience the power of a martial artist in advance. He nodded. How could Longao not know what Blackie meant? This was also the best method. Perhaps he could really comprehend something by following Xiao Hei's method. By breaking the cycle of reincarnation, one could attain the Tao. Now is not the time. I need to deal with Gu Hao first. Gu Hao had always been a problem, and this was also his master's worry. Clean up the family, cut the weeds and eliminate the root. As if he could guess what Longao was going to do next, Xianyuan Bubi sighed deeply and said, Aor, if we capture Gu Hao, I want to personally take care of him. Longao was very clear what his master meant. If not for Gu Hao's sneak attack back then, his master would not have fallen to such a state. If it was an ordinary person, then it would have been fine. However, Gu Hao was the person his master loved the most. Being ambushed and killed by the person closest to him could be considered the most tragic thing in his life. Longao could understand why his master wanted to personally take action. On the other hand, Xianyuan Bubi naturally knew that with Aor's current strength, it would be easy for him to deal with Gu Hao in a matter of minutes. The current primal chaos realm was already divided equally among the three superpowers. With the fall of Mo Wutian, the Demon Palace had completely disappeared from the primal chaos realm, leaving only the Ancient Sect, the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall. Among the three superpowers, the Ancient Sect was definitely ranked first. No matter what, the news of Gu Hao being a half-step Tao validation warrior had already spread throughout the entire primal chaos realm. No matter if it was the Domain Lord Alliance or the Pill Hall, they did not dare to go against the Ancient Sect. For some unknown reason, Gu Hao actually did not bring the Ancient Sect to destroy the other two sections. Perhaps he was afraid of something. The Ancient Sect was still in the Thunder Heavenly Domain. Longao's figure appeared and immediately released his enormous primordial spirit, instantly covering the entire heavenly domain. Let's go. Carrying the piglet, Longao took a step forward and instantly arrived at the Ancient Sect's headquarters. Gu Hao, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes. His face was filled with shock. He did not know why a martial artist, who was half a step into the Tao-confirming realm, suddenly came to his territory. With a so sound, Gu Hao's figure appeared in midair. Looking at Longao in front of him, Gu Hao was completely dumbfounded. his face was filled with disbelief. He never thought that the half-step Tao validation warrior that suddenly appeared was actually Longao. How long had it been? Longao had already successfully broken through and become a half-step Tao validation warrior. Longao, what do you mean by this? Gu Hao, it's time to settle the grudge between you and me. With just you? So what if you've already become a half-step Tao validation warrior? You want to fight against me? Ha 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 ha. He did not put Longao in his eyes at all. Gu Hao was completely confident that as long as a true Tao validation warrior did not personally descend, then no one would be his match. There was no doubt about that. Even if Longao had already broken through to half-step Tao validation warrior, he had only just broken through, and his strength was 100,000 steps and 1,000 miles away. How could Longao not know what Gu Hao meant? Gu Hao was truly a frog at the bottom of a well. This was still the primal chaos realm. If Gu Hao was placed in the nether realm with this kind of strength, not to mention dominating the nether realm, many people would be able to easily defeat Gu Hao. Just the number of half-step Tao validation warriors that had died at his hands was already no less than 20. Boss, why are you wasting your breath on this scum? Just kill him. Piglet's voice was filled with dissatisfaction and ridicule. Although he was unable to attack, his divine ability was enough to reverse the situation. Even if he was facing a Tao validation warrior, his boss could still use his divine ability to fight against a Tao validation warrior head-on. To deal with a mere half-step Tao validation warrior, even without his help, just with his boss's strength, it would be easy to deal with him. Who do you think you are? Longao, I can give you a chance. As long as you hand over Xianyuan Bubi and that old fellow's primordial spirit and Tao confirmation seed, not only can the grudge between us be written off, we can even confirm our Tao together and become Tao validation warriors. How about it? In a head-on clash, Gu Hao was very clear in his heart that even if he could kill the other party, whether or not he could obtain their primordial spirit and Tao confirmation seed was still unknown. P.S. Please support Xiao Zhou's new book, Cultivation Berserk Upgrade, Collection, Recommendation, Xiao Zhou thanks. Chapter 3357. He didn't dare to take the risk. Longao's life and death. He did not care at all, as long as he could obtain the primordial spirit and Tao confirmation seed of the two great martial warriors. Gu Hao, since you are not willing to surrender, I can only kill you. Looks like you are still stubborn. Without waiting for Longao to make his move, Gu Hao actually took the initiative to strike first. One step forward. Gu Hao's figure quickly appeared, both of his palms moved at the same time, and a terrifying power directly covered the area. Longao stood there without moving, only watching coldly. At this moment, Piglet suddenly let out a long howl. Gu Hao, who was originally full of confidence, suddenly realized that his body had been forcefully frozen. He was completely stunned, and did not know what had happened at all. Humph! A cold snort. Longao's primordial spirit immediately started to attack Gu Hao crazily. In a situation where he was unable to move, Gu Hao's primordial spirit was directly destroyed. If not for him showing mercy, he believed that Gu Hao would already be a corpse. With Piglet's ability, even if it was a martial artist who was frozen in place, he could still freeze for a full 3 seconds. Not to mention freezing a small martial artist who was half a step into the Tao confirmation realm, it was completely easy. It had also increased from the previous 3 seconds to 10 seconds. What kind of concept was this? 10 seconds was enough for Longao to sweep through all the martial artists who were half a step into the Tao confirmation realm. Gu Hao, who was lying on the ground, still had not reacted. Gu Hao's eyes were extremely cold as he said unwillingly, Longao, you are only relying on the help of the divine beast. If we were to fight alone, you would not be my match at all. A frog in a well. Longao did not want to waste any more words with Gu Hao. Following that, Xianyuan Bubi's primordial spirit appeared. Longao first bowed respectfully and said, "Master, I'll leave the rest to you." He nodded. Longao did not stay any longer and brought Piglet back into the primal chaos Dantian. He would leave the rest to his master. Even if his master let Gu Hao go, he would not say anything. However, he did not want to cause any trouble for himself. Longao had already completely destroyed Gu Hao's primordial spirit when he used it to attack him crazily. In other words, the current Gu Hao was already a cripple. Even if his master let him go, Gu Hao would not be able to pose any threat to him. 6 hours later. Hearing his master's call, Longao's figure appeared. "Aor, I didn't kill Gu Hao. Do you think master did the right thing?" As expected, Longao had already guessed that if nothing unexpected happened, his master would definitely let Gu Hao go. After all, they were master and disciple, and his master had doted on Gu Hao so much back then. "Master." Before Longao could finish speaking, Gu Hao went back and forth. "Gu Hao, don't be ungrateful. Master is magnanimous and will let you live." Longao, I don't need your charity. If you wanted to let me go, you wouldn't have destroyed my soul. I'm already a cripple. Do you think I can still live?" Xianyuan Bubi shook his head in disappointment and said helplessly, "Aor, your master is tired. Master, please." After Longao sent his master into the primal chaos Dantian, he looked coldly at Gu Hao who was in front of him. His master might still have feelings for Gu Hao, but he himself did not have any feelings at all. If not for his master, the previous him would have already completely killed Gu Hao. "Gu Hao, back then, master doted on you a lot, and spent a lot of effort to prepare to help you prove your Tao. It's just that you are greedy and want to replace him, and devour master's primordial spirit and Tao proving seed. Only then will you have 100% confidence. So what if I am?" Gu Hao did not take the previous matter to heart at all, and said coldly, "If a person doesn't do it for himself, even if the old thing spends a lot of effort, it's impossible for him to help me prove my Tao 100%. Only by devouring his primordial spirit and Tao proving seed can I succeed in proving my Tao. If a person doesn't do it for himself, the heavens will destroy him." When Gu Hao said those words, Longao already knew that Gu Hao was completely finished. Gu Hao was just an animal, an emotionless animal. His master had treated him like that, in order to be able to prove his Tao with a 100% success rate. He never thought that Gu Hao would actually go berserk. He didn't want to continue talking nonsense, because Longao knew that no matter how much he said, Gu Hao would still be stubborn. Even his master had chosen to give up, and it wasn't like he had nothing better to do, so why would he try to influence Gu Hao? "I'll clean up the sect for master now." As if he had already guessed his own solution, Gu Hao was not afraid at all, because he could imagine that his primordial spirit had already been destroyed and he had lost all of his strength. Even if the old thing and Longao were willing to let him go, he wouldn't be able to live for long. There were simply too many enemies compared to him, and he, who had become a cripple, could be easily destroyed by anyone. Boom! A loud sound rang out. Gu Hao was directly blasted to death, and his body was thrown into the spatial collapse. Longao did not show any mercy, and successfully killed Gu Hao. Not only did he help his master clean up the sect, he also solved a huge problem. No matter what, Gu Hao's talent was right there. Once Gu Hao really succeeded in proving his Tao, then to him, it would always be a huge problem. Cutting the weeds and eliminating the roots as soon as possible could be considered as removing a part of his heart. Returning to the primal chaos Dantian and looking at his master's lonely face, Longao did not feel good in his heart. Taking in a disciple, meeting someone like Gu Hao, could be considered a complete tragedy. Longao could almost be sure that his master back then must have treated Gu Hao like his own father and son. No matter what, in this world, there was no place that sold medicine for regret. Xianyuan Bubi asked, "It's settled?" Longao obviously knew what Xianyuan Bubi meant, so he nodded and said, "Gu Hao is stubborn, even when he is about to die. He still thinks that he did not do anything wrong back then, saying that only by devouring Master's primordial spirit and Tao confirming seed can he confirm his Tao with 100% certainty. Master, this is not your fault, it's all his fault." Evil Ancestor, who was at the side, also had a helpless look on his face. He was unable to interfere in this kind of matter, because Xianyuan Bubi's luck was bad, and he just had to meet a traitor like Gu Hao. Not only did he not give him face, he even killed his master. If he did not meet Longao, he believed that the current Xianyuan Bubi would have already completely disappeared. This was simply nonsense. How could Xianyuan Bubi not know what Longao meant? He waved his hand and said, "I understand, Aor, I want to be quiet. You do everything you need to do first, I'm fine." Longao did not say much. It was better to let his master calm down. Chapter 33:58. Very helpless. No one could help his master in this kind of matter. With Gu Hao's death, Longao finally heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. First upper region. Longao looked at the figure that flashed and disappeared with a funny expression. God of Slaughter Duanmujin. He didn't want to talk nonsense. As his strength continued to increase, Longao already had full confidence in dealing with God of Slaughter Duanmujin. The result could be imagined. Before Duanmujin could even react, he was already killed by Longao. Even at the moment of his death, God of Slaughter Duanmujin wouldn't have thought that Longao would become so powerful. Soul Break Valley. Longao truly treated Duan Hun as a friend. "Brother Long, have you really broken through the half-step Tao validation realm?" Longao didn't hide anything from Duan Hun. He nodded and said, "I entered the Nether Realm and unintentionally broke through to the half-step Tao validation realm." Duan Hun had also heard of the Nether Realm, but he had never truly stepped into it. "Duan Hun, I came to find you this time to prepare to help you break through to the half-step Tao validation realm." A huge surprise filled Duan Hun. He still couldn't believe it and asked, "Is it really possible?" "No problem. This is the cultivation method I created for you. As long as you cultivate according to this cultivation method, I believe that in less than 100 years, you should be able to reach the half-step Tao validation realm." Duan Hun was very surprised. Of course, he knew what half-step Tao validation realm meant. After staying in the Soul Break Valley for about 3 days, Longao got up and left after everything was settled. Evil Moon, Nangong Yin, and the Divine Mathematician. After successfully killing Gu Hao, Longao naturally knew that he had to eliminate the root of the problem. Therefore, the next mission was to think of all ways to get rid of this person. With his current strength, it was almost a matter of minutes to eliminate the 3 of them. The biggest problem was to find a way to lock onto the 3 of them. With Gu Hao's death, the ancient sect also slowly began to be destroyed. In a short few months, the Domain Lord Alliance and the Pill Hall divided the world equally, while the Dragon sect went into seclusion. From the beginning to the end, Longao did not have any thoughts of dominating the Chaos Realm. When the time came, he only needed to prove his Tao. Therefore, after destroying the ancient sect and killing Gu Hao, Longao straightforwardly found the 2 superpowers and expressed his intentions. Regardless of whether it was Han Wu or Tsangya, they were both shocked by Longao's current strength. They never thought that in such a short period of time, Not only had Longao become a half-step into the martial warriors, he had even become so powerful that he could even kill Gu Hao. Both of them were well aware of what this meant. Fortunately, they had a good relationship with Longao. Otherwise, with Longao's current strength, it would be too easy for him to destroy the Domain Lords Alliance and the Pill Hall. The Dragon Sect, the Pill Hall, and the Domain Lord Alliance began to cover the entire Primal Chaos Realm's 99 heavens. The three superpowers worked together in an attempt to lock onto the trio's location. Shiyue and the other two already knew that Longao had killed Gu Hao. The three of them were not half-step into the martial warriors. Longao could even kill Gu Hao, let alone the three of them. Once they were locked onto, it was obvious what kind of consequences there would be. It was precisely because of this. Shiyue and the other two immediately hid themselves. In the vast sea of people, it was too difficult for Longao to find traces of the three of them in the Primal Chaos realm. Cloud Valley. This was the second time Longao had stepped in. However, this time Longao was not afraid. With Piglet's help, even if he was facing Cloud Ancestor, he would still have the strength to fight. Half-step into the Dao realm. It seems that you are not far from the Dao realm. Longao smiled and said, Cloud Ancestor, I would like to ask you for a favor. I hope that you can help me. Tell me about it. Cloud Ancestor did not agree, nor did he refuse, because he did not know what Longao's condition was. If he could agree, then he would agree. If he could not agree, then he would definitely refuse. I want to lock onto the traces of three people, but they are all in the Primal Chaos realm. At this point, Longao paused for a moment, then continued, I heard that Senior Cloud Ancestor has a Primal Chaos Divine tool. As long as the aura of the three of them is sent in, you can lock onto their location. So that's how it is. This matter was too simple for Cloud Ancestor. Smiling, Cloud Ancestor said, Longao, forgive me for being blunt, but this matter is indeed very simple for me. It's just that why should I help you? You and I are not friends. He was not surprised at all. This world was like this. He and Cloud Ancestor could be said to be neither relatives nor friends. There was indeed no need for Cloud Ancestor to help him. But what was the result? Cloud Ancestor suddenly smiled and said, But I am willing to make friends with you, so I plan to help you this time. Longao's face lit up, and he said with a smile, Thank you. Cloud Ancestor stretched out his right hand, and a ball of black light appeared. Longao did not know what Cloud Ancestor's Primal Chaos Divine tool was. Put the aura of the three people into my palm. Nodding, Longao did not hesitate and immediately put the aura of the three people into the black light. In the next second, Cloud Ancestor closed his eyes and began to sense. Time passed bit by bit. About half an hour later. Cloud Ancestor suddenly opened his eyes and said with a smile, I have locked onto the specific location of the aura you gave me. He was overjoyed. Where is it? Longao could not wait to kill the three of them. Hearing that Cloud Ancestor had really locked onto their location, he asked impatiently. Third Sky Realm, Sunset Mountain Range. Senior Cloud Ancestor, I will remember this friendship. I will take my leave first. Please go ahead. Looking at Longao leaving, Cloud Ancestor smiled and muttered to himself, A heaven-gifted genius will definitely become a Dao-confirming martial artist within 1,000 years. It's not a bad thing to befriend him now. For him, it was not a problem. If he could make friends with a genius, then it would be a very good thing for him. For him, it was still very cost-effective. The Third Sky Realm originally belonged to the Domain Lord Alliance. However, after a few chaotic battles, no one knew who the Third Sky Realm belonged to. Neither the Domain Lord Alliance nor the Pill Hall seemed to have come to an agreement. Longao entered the Third Sky Realm and left the place designated by Cloud Ancestor. He quickly flew towards the Sunset Mountain Range and arrived there in the blink of an eye. The Sunset Mountain Range was very famous in the Third Sky realm. Almost everyone knew about it. After all, the cultivators in the Third Sky realm would go to the Sunset Mountain Range to train themselves. Longao did not expect that the three of them would be hiding there. Under the cover of Cloud Ancestor's powerful primal chaos divine tool, the three of them had nowhere to hide. Longao smiled and stepped into the Sunset Mountain Range. His Yuan spirit immediately covered the entire mountain range. Chapter 3359. Boss, it's just 3 primal chaos samsara warriors. Even if Piglet didn't have any attack power, it would still be very easy for him to kill 3 small primal chaos samsara warriors. Longao smiled. With his current strength, he naturally didn't need to fear the primal chaos samsara warriors. But at that time, not to mention Nangong Yin and the divine mathematician, just Evil Moon was not someone he could contend against. However, the situation now was completely different. After the primordial spirit covered it, in the blink of an eye, Longao had already found traces of the three of them. Perhaps they had a common enemy, but the three of them were hiding together. However, this also saved him a lot of trouble. Within the Sunset Mountain Range, Nangong Yin and the other two's faces were gloomy. They were all very clear that with Longao's current strength, since he was able to kill Gu Hao, who was half a step into the Tao confirming realm, then killing them would be a matter of minutes. They really couldn't figure out how Longao's strength had increased so quickly. Senior Evil Moon, what should we do now? Longao is definitely looking for us right now. If he locks onto our position, we'll be in big trouble. Evil Moon coldly snorted. So what if Longao has broken through half a step into the Tao confirming realm? I have already informed my master. I believe that it won't be long before my master personally arrives. Master? Before the two of them could ask, Evil Moon seemed to be able to guess what the two of them were thinking and said, "No one in the entire Chaos realm knows about my master, and my master is also a Tao confirming martial artist." Hearing the words Tao confirming martial artist, whether it was Nangong Yin or the divine mathematician, both of them were completely stunned. This was because the two of them were very clear on what it meant to be a Tao confirming martial artist. Senior Evil Moon, if it's according to what you said, I hope that Longao can find us. At that time, not to mention dealing with us, he can forget about leaving alive. The other two laughed at Nangong Yin's words. He wasn't afraid of Longao coming, but he was afraid that Longao wouldn't come. The three of them really hoped that Longao would come, but the premise was that Evil Moon's master would be able to arrive smoothly. Otherwise, if Longao arrived first, then things would really be troublesome. However, could Longao find this place? It was complete nonsense. No one, not even Longao, knew that the three of them were hiding in the setting sun mountain range. I'm sorry, but you don't have any more chances. A figure then appeared. Longao? Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of them, the three of them were completely dumbfounded. What they were afraid of really happened. If Master came first, then Longao would definitely die. However, if Longao came first, it would be a different concept. As expected, feeling the powerful aura released by the other party, the three of them were very clear that if nothing unexpected happened, the other party should really be a half-step Tao validation cultivator. Longao, can you let us go? Even if the three of them were extremely unwilling to lower their heads, they had no other choice since things had already turned out this way. After all, if they didn't lower their heads, it meant that they wouldn't be able to escape this time. The three of them were well aware of what it meant to be a half-step Tao vindication martial artist. Are you afraid? The three of them didn't say anything, which could be considered a tacit agreement. Afraid, they were indeed afraid. Ha ha, Evil Moon, Nangong een Oracle, you're about to die. Before coming, Longao had never thought of letting the three of them go. What kind of joke was this? Cutting the weeds without removing the roots. Once the tiger returned to the mountain, there would be endless trouble in the future. How could he make such a low-level mistake? It was complete nonsense. Just as Longao was about to make a move, a terrifying aura instantly suppressed him, bringing with it an endless whirlwind, and a figure descended. Master, you're finally here. Looking at the old man who suddenly appeared, Evil Moon was pleasantly surprised to the extreme. He didn't expect that his master would really come in time. If his master had come a few minutes later, they would have really died. Evil Moon, you're really embarrassing me. Evil Moon knew his master's temper very well and respectfully said, Master, this person has already reached half-step Dao Vindication. Lai Yin nodded. How could she not sense that the other party was a half-step Dao Vindication martial artist? If he was a Chaos Reincarnation martial artist, with her disciple's strength, how could they not be able to contend with him? It was unrealistic for a Chaos Reincarnation martial artist to contend with a half-step Dao Vindication martial artist. Lai Yin was also a little scared. If she had come back a little later, she believed that her only disciple would have fallen. Nangong een and Oracle also breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Evil Moon's master had arrived in time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had a chance. You're the so-called Longao? Lai Yin didn't put Longao in her eyes at all. He was a genuine Dao Vindication martial artist. A half-step Dao Vindication martial artist was not even an ant in her eyes. After all, for a Dao Vindication martial artist, as long as they didn't meet an expert of the same level, they could directly ignore them. What's more, even among Dao Vindication martial artists, she was a very powerful existence. Her strength was almost at the peak of Dao Vindication. If she couldn't even deal with a half-step Dao Vindication martial artist, then it would be too ridiculous. What are you? As soon as Longao's words came out, the three people were in an uproar. Their faces were full of shock as they looked at Longao in disbelief. They really couldn't figure out why Longao dared to be so arrogant in the face of a Dao Vindication martial artist. Ha ha ha, boy, I have to admit that you are really arrogant, but it doesn't matter. Wait a moment, I will let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. However, I won't let you off so easily. I will personally refine you into a puppet, ha 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 ha. Evil Moon and the other two also laughed. No matter how strong Longao was, in the face of a Dao Vindication martial artist, he still had no power to resist. This was the gap between a Dao Vindication martial artist and a half-step Dao Vindication martial artist. Evil Moon and the other two were also looking forward to it. If their master could really refine Longao into a puppet, then it would be a pleasant surprise for them. Ever since they found out that Longao had killed Gu Hao, Evil Moon and the other two had been in a state of panic. They were afraid that the other party would find them at any time. After all, with their strength, even if they joined forces, they would still not be a match for the other party. If their master hadn't arrived in time, they wouldn't even know how they died. With just you? Raging Flame was completely enraged. In all these years, no one had ever dared to treat her like this, especially when the other party was only a small half-step Dao Vindication martial artist and not a real Dao Vindication martial artist. She looked at the other party coldly and said, I'd like to see what capital you have to be so arrogant. P.S. Please support Little Nine's new book, Cultivation Berserk Upgrade. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.